spoken about the case outside of court. That matter may be discussed when court resumes Tuesday morning.
That's Fox's Gernal Scott. On Wall Street, stock futures are falling the day after gains. The Dow rose 317 points. The Nasdaq went up 294. In the basketball playoffs,
the Oklahoma City Thunder now 1 win away from an NBA title. They'll try and clinch it on the road in Game 6.
That'll be Thursday in Indiana after the Thunder beat the Pacers 120-109 on ESPN. Jalen Williams led the way, 40 points, giving Oklahoma City a 3-2 lead in the NBA Finals. I'm Dave Anthony. This is Fox News.
Attention. Have you racked up $10,000 or more in credit card debt? Are you barely getting by making minimum payments? With credit card debt reaching all-time highs, National Debt Relief is notifying consumers about significant debt relief options currently being made available to help those with overwhelming credit card debt. These options may reduce a large portion of credit card debt for those who qualify. You don't need to declare bankruptcy or take out a consolidation loan, and you may only have to pay back a fraction of what you owe, even if you have bad credit. National Debt Relief has already reduced the credit card debt for more than 550,000 consumers, so don't wait. If you owe $10,000, $20,000, or even $100,000 in credit card debt, you can now take advantage of this financial debt relief as the cost of living continues to skyrocket. To check what debt reduction you may qualify for, call 800-236-2277. That's 800-236-2277. Once again, that's 800-236-2277.
Perhaps you're a collector, or perhaps all of a sudden you have a collection. Maybe it's an inheritance. How do you know what it's worth? This is Sean Thompson for Donnelly Auction. The market for antiques and collectibles is changing all the time. What is your collection worth right now? Well, I've got an easy way to find out. It's simple. You contact Donnelly Auctions with their worldwide audience of live and in-person auctions. They have a good idea of how to tell you exactly what it's worth at exactly right now. They're ready to put top dollar in your pocket. The bigger the collection, the better. Go to DonnellyAuctions.com and get the info on all things that they buy and sell to have an idea of exactly what Donnelly does and how much they need your collection. They have so many buyers, it's a great time to sell. Just simply make a phone call. Donnelly has traveled all over the country to pick up collections. Just call and talk to the people at Donnelly Auctions at 815-923-7000. Donnelly Auctions is your trusted partner in turning your collections into cash. DonnellyAuctions.com.
Hey, I'm Steve Wyatt, and I want to invite you to the Wyatt Matters Show, which airs every Sunday on this station. You can expect lively discussion and heartfelt reflection that will both entertain and inspire you. And if we do it right, maybe deliver some genuine laughter as well. We talk about not only what matters, but also why it matters.
Wyatt Matters, Sunday morning at 6 on AM 560. The Answer.
Hi, I'm Ken Mariotti, owner of Woodland Windows and Doors, a third-generation family-owned business since 1969. We know you're bombarded by choices when shopping for new windows or doors, so we're inviting you to experience the Woodland difference. For decades, we have been transforming living spaces with Marvin Windows, a fifth-generation family business. Marvin replacement windows have been known to increase the warmth of your cold rooms by 10 degrees. Think about that, 10 degrees warmer. When you welcome Woodland into your home, you will get a product expert to transform your living spaces, full-time, dedicated professional installers that you can trust in your home, along with the best products like Marvin. These are the reasons we're proud of our 5-star reviews and family legacy. No gimmicks, no pressure, and upfront pricing are why Woodland Windows and Doors is your trusted window and door expert in Chicagoland. Visit woodlandwindows.com to book your free in-home expert consultation. That's woodlandwindows.com, or stop by our showroom at the corner of Lake and Geary in Roselle.
Larry Elder addresses our debt.
Here's the problem. Both parties spend money. They may have different priorities, but both parties spend money. The other big problem is that much of the government spending is on automatic pilot. By that, I'm talking about Medicare, Medicaid, and Social Security.
The Larry Elder Show. Weeknights at 8, right before Sean Hannity at 10 on AM 560. The Answer.
It's June 17th, and this is your Fox Daily Snapshot. Today is Tessellation Day. Even if you don't know what it means, you have most likely seen it many times. Tessellation is an arrangement of shapes closely fitted together, especially of polygons, in a repeated pattern without gaps or overlapping. The earliest known example being used from the Sumerians in about 4000 BC, who made snazzy wall designs using repeated patterns made from clay tiles. Also on this day in 1994, O.J. Simpson leads Los Angeles police on a low-speed chase along a freeway. Police suspected the former football star, actor, and sports commentator of killing his wife, Nicole Brown Simpson, and her friend, Ronald Goldman. Born on this day in 1980, tennis legend Venus Williams, who along with her sister Serena are credited with ushering in a new era of power and athleticism on the Women's Pro Tour, a winner of 6 Grand Slam titles, including 5 Wimbledon championships. I'm CJ Papa. That's your Fox Daily Snapshot.
I've been playing sports all my life. Little football, basketball, pickleball, cross training, mud events, Spartan races and things like that.
For Dr. Eric Williams, a successful chiropractor, staying active means everything. So when nagging knee pain slowed him down, he didn't want drugs or invasive surgery. He found a natural way to get lasting relief. QC Kinetics Cellular Therapies.
We're using my body's natural abilities to get better. And that's huge. In time, that's going to be the way of the future. Using your own body's ability to heal. Now I can play day to day and not have that severe pain.
Now he's back out there doing what he loves, thanks to QC Kinetics.
Life is good. You're not going to slow me down.
Leave the pain behind and get moving. Book your free consultation today with QC Kinetics.
Call QC Kinetics, 312-809-5955. That's 312-809-5955. 312-809-5955.
For months, you've been hearing ads about Virago Immune Support. I have to tell you, this stuff is for real. I had an occasion to not be feeling well on a remote broadcast. I took it, and it is the real deal. And the stronger your immune system, the stronger your body defends against diseases, viruses, and everything else. That's why Dr. Huber created Virago, a liquid immune booster supplement. You take it daily. It's a blend of 23 nutraceuticals working in synergy to maximize effects and boost your immune system. It's the nutraceutical cocktail for an immune system, antiviral, anti-inflammatory, antioxidant. Virago even protects your heart, your kidneys, your liver, all in a unique liquid supplement for better absorption. Do yourself and your spouse a favor. Order a bottle of Virago today online at myvirago.com. That's myvirago.com. Use coupon code IMMUNE to save 30%. Maha and Virago, making America healthy again.
Spring, a time to get outside, be active, play with the grandkids, enjoy life. But if high blood pressure is holding you back, the sooner you get control of it, the sooner you'll stop being a walking time bomb. High blood pressure is a serious issue. Your blood vessels are constricted, your mortality risk is high. So what can you do besides take medications with side effects? Well, there's a delicious juice that can help bring your numbers back down. It's called 120 Life, and it has natural ingredients that have shown to lower blood pressure. Yes, a superfood juice is showing amazing results for high blood pressure without the side effects of big pharma medication. Try 120 Life risk-free now with a 2-week trial pack. Go to 120life.com and use coupon code 560 to save 15% and get free shipping. They're so sure it can lower your blood pressure in 2 weeks, they'll give your money back if you're not satisfied. Order now. That's 120life.com. Use coupon code 560 at checkout for 15% off.
Can you afford not to have effective video surveillance? Is your outdoor inventory at risk? Theft and vandalism can hit your bottom line hard. Stop these events before they happen. Monitor your business 24/7 with alarm detection systems. We prevent crime with live operators watching video alerts, ensuring your assets and employees are secure. It's not worth the liability when you can effectively protect what matters most. Call ADS at 1-630-844-6322 or visit adsalarm.com for a free demo. Alarm license number 127000143. Spending too much on security guards to patrol your property? With rising crime rates, guards may not be enough. And the cost, it's adding up fast. At Alarm Detection Systems, we offer a more innovative solution. Live video monitoring. Cameras provide extra coverage in even the hardest to reach areas. Unlike guards, they never get intimidated. Our operators watch video alerts in real time, cut costs, increase coverage, and stay secure. Call ADS at 1-630-844-6322 or visit adsalarm.com for a free demo. Alarm license number 127000143.
Perhaps you're a collector, or perhaps all of a sudden you have a collection. Maybe it's an inheritance. How do you know what it's worth? This is Sean Thompson for Donley Auction. The market for antiques and collectibles is changing all the time. What is your collection worth right now? Well, I've got an easy way to find out. It's simple. You contact Donley Auctions. With their worldwide audience of live and in-person auctions, they have a good idea of how to tell you exactly what it's worth at exactly right now. They're ready to put top dollar in your pocket. The bigger the collection, the better. Go to DonleyAuctions.com and get the info on all things that they buy and sell to have an idea of exactly what Donley does and how much they need your collection. They have so many buyers, it's a great time to sell. Just simply make a phone call. Donley has traveled all over the country to pick up collections. Just call and talk to the people at Donley Auctions at 815-923-7000. Donley Auctions is your trusted partner in turning your collections into cash. DonleyAuctions.com.
Wow. At the time of this being written, both gold and silver are up some 40%. That's 40% in just 1 year. In fact, this past year, gold has broken all-time historic records by hundreds of dollars an ounce. And unlike all other financial instruments used today, that historic record goes back thousands of years. In times like these, prices have never been better on most collector and gold coins. Fox Valley Coins in Naperville is trying to keep up with demand. So they're paying the most ever on not only most gold coins and bars, but also those old coin and paper money collections. They're especially looking for the scarcer dates and higher grade coins. Take advantage of the record high market price and our huge demand now, whether you're buying or selling, or just want to find out their worth. Fox Valley Coins is the place to go. Fox Valley Coins is on Route 59, just 1 light north of I-88 at the Naperville-Warrenville border. Family-owned integrity since 1981.
The clock is ticking for Windows 10 operating system. Soon, Microsoft will no longer provide free updates, technical support, and security fixes for Windows 10 and previous versions. Is your business using Windows 10? Take action before your business is impacted. Turnkey is offering a free Windows readiness check. This free assessment will give you an analysis of where your network needs are and prepare your business for Windows 11. Don't wait. If you're not ready, your system is vulnerable and could be hacked. All your data could be lost. Your business can't afford the losses. Turnkey can help prepare you for the transition, ensuring a seamless move from Windows 10 to Windows 11. Find out if your operating system is ready for Windows 11, no charge. Ask about the free Windows readiness check today by talking to Turnkey. Visit turnkey.pro before there's no support for Windows 10. That's turnkey.pro. Turnkey, your small business champions.
You deserve a dedicated financial resource. Meet Michelle Ashute with West Point Financial Group, a Mass Mutual firm. Michelle builds lifelong relationships, guiding families through legacy strategies. From grandparents down to grandkids, she helps people secure their financial independence. Her tailored approach to savings can help you prepare for college, retirement, or business protection. Michelle's needs-based approach helps you prepare for all of life's biggest moments. Michelle Ashute of West Point Financial Group, helping you earn, learn, and secure your tomorrow. Email Michelle at mshoot@financialguide.com. That's MSCHOOT @financialguide.com. Local firms or sales offices of Massachusetts Mutual Life Insurance Company. Mass Mutual, Springfield, Massachusetts 01111-001, and are not subsidiaries of Mass Mutual or its affiliated companies. Michelle Ashute is a registered representative of and offers securities through MML Investor Services, LLC, member SIPC. Supervisory office located at 30 South Wacker Drive, Suite 2700, Chicago, Illinois, 60606.
Chicagoland traffic. The Ike, the Stevenson, the dreaded 294. You sitting in traffic is not time well spent. Time is money.
Oh, come on, man. What's the slowdown for?
Especially when you're trying to do your own company deliveries.
What is happening up there? I got things to deliver.
But instead of sitting there getting more and more frustrated,
please, can we go any slower?
You could be back at the shop getting work done.
I should have stayed at work and actually worked.
Get Quick Delivery Service to battle the traffic for you. They'll make your deliveries while you get other things done. Quick Delivery Service makes it easy. No forms, no labels, no scanning. They'll deliver large pallets of materials to important documents. Simply tell Quick Delivery Service where it's going. They'll pick it up and get it to your destination quickly. Plus, your deliveries are tracked with real-time GPS notifications. Visit quickdelivery.com and stay out of traffic.
Oh no, this exit's closed?
Call now for a free quote. 847-534-2244. Or go to quickdelivery.com.
A great smile can make you feel happy and confident. So when you consciously conserve your teeth, that glowing smile will show through. At Best Dental Group, doctors Economos, Gavalis, and their staff are ready to help you create that perfect look or maintain the one you have now. Along with general dentistry, Best Dental Group is a multidiscipline practice with an orthodontist, periodontist, and prosthetic specialists on site. They use the newest breakthroughs in dental technology such as titanium implants, Invisalign clear braces, and laser treatments. Don't let fear get in the way. They can recommend sedation to make your experience as comfortable as possible. Best Dental Group is located in historic downtown Bartlett and is a multilingual office. Call 630-830-4930, 630-830-4930, or visit bestdental.org. Best Dental Group, sharing your conservative values and helping you to conserve your teeth.
Are you tired of exposing your retirement to stock market risk? How would you like the potential to participate in credited interest from market index returns and limit the downside? Join Mark Kohler for the Retirement and Income Radio Show, Sunday afternoons at 3. You can also call Mark now for your complimentary customized Retirement and Income Kit and Retirement and Income Book at 844-619-SAFE. Get the information you need now. That's 844-619-7233.
Salem News Channel is America's fastest growing conservative TV network.
It's an absolute crazy day.
Home to the largest lineup of free speech champions anywhere. Delivering in-depth insight and unapologetic opinion on today's biggest news stories.
Americans aren't going to put up with this anymore.
SNC brings you the news that matters, told with integrity and clarity. Watch Salem News Channel free 24/7 on your television. Stream now on Pluto TV.
Now, your official weather forecast.
Hot day today, clouds and sun. Thunderstorm in spots late this afternoon, the high 90. A shower and thunderstorm forward this evening, low 69. Heavy thunderstorms tomorrow could spark an isolated tornado, the high near 80. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560. The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com.
Portions of the following show may be pre-recorded.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. And so acting USA in Minnesota, acting U.S. Attorney Joe Thompson had a press briefing yesterday to provide some details as to the man who has been charged with the murders and attempted murders of those Minnesota legislators and their spouses. Thompson said manifesto. What manifesto?
With respect to the potential motive, let me say this. There's been a lot of press coverage and speculation and discussion of a manifesto. I've seen nothing like a Unabomber-style manifesto in his writings. He had many, many notebooks full of plans, lists of names, surveillance, efforts that he took to surveil and locate the home addresses and family members' relationships with these elected officials. But I have not seen anything involving some sort of political screed or manifesto that would clearly identify what motivated him. Obviously, his primary motive was to go out and murder people. Now, they were all elected officials. They were all Democrats. Beyond that, I think it's just way too speculative for anyone who has reviewed these materials to know and to say what was motivating him in terms of ideology or specific issues. There's a lot of...
Or abortion rights supporters?
There were some abortion rights supporters, I believe, on the list. But again, there was dozens and dozens and dozens of names on, hundreds of pages of documents that were recovered with his writings on them.
All right. So then I guess the follow-up would have been, well, then what was the confusion over the weekend where it was announced that the state police or whatever police agency is in charge, I don't know if it's Hennepin County or the state police, but the local authorities were not going to release a manifesto. Now there is no manifesto. So how did I understand?
How did that happen?
Well, I understand people get things wrong, but just explain why we were told no, the manifesto wouldn't be released, and now we're told there's no manifesto because, of course, that creates skepticism when you're saying we've made a decision not to release a piece of evidence that we actually don't have.
312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line.
You could also text us on that same line.
Thompson also provided details of what happened over the weekend when this individual carried out these horrific crimes. And that actually checked out pretty much to what the reporting was, although I'm still a little hazy on how he managed to get into a firefight with police at the home of that state legislator and who he murdered as well as her husband's, and escape.
Belter then traveled to Brooklyn Park, Minnesota, in the home of Minnesota State Representative Melissa Hortman. At approximately 3:30 a.m., Belter arrived at Representative Hortman's house in his black SUV with the police license plates. He parked in the driveway and left the emergency lights on his SUV flashing, as if he was a police officer. Belter approached Representative Hortman's home, again dressed as a police officer, wearing the tactical vest and body armor, and wearing that hyper-realistic mask. He was armed and carrying a flashlight. Before he entered the home, 2 Brooklyn Park police officers arrived at the scene. They too had been dispatched to check on Representative Hortman after learning of the shooting of Senator Hoffman. When they arrived at the scene, they saw Belter's black SUV parked in the driveway with the emergency lights flashing, and they saw Belter standing in front of the house several feet from the door. When Belter saw the officers get out of the car, he drew his weapon and began firing. He rushed into the house through the front door, firing into it. He repeatedly fired into the house, and when he entered, he murdered Representative Hortman and her husband, Mark. The Brooklyn Park police officers fired at Belter as he rushed into the home, but he escaped into the home and out the back. Officers recovered Belter's 9mm Beretta, along with the body armor and the mask, behind the home along his path of flight when he fled on foot. They later searched Belter's car, where they found 5 more firearms, including assault-style rifles and a large quantity of ammunition. Belter also had in his car notebooks containing a list of more than 45 Minnesota state and federal elected officials, including Representative Hortman.
How did they let that happen? I mean, the officers, I know who my coworkers are, right? I know how they stand. I know their gesture. If you see they must have thought he was a coworker.
Who?
The police officers that were there at the state senate, at the state speaker's, or I'm sorry, the Speaker of the House's house. How did they got into a firefight and then he ran into the house, shot them, and then ran out the back?
Well, right. They roll up on him because they're after the senator and his wife are shot, the state senator. They roll up on him. He's in a police uniform. I don't know what they knew, but he gets spooked. He opens fire. They open fire. He rushes into the house. I mean, we don't know how long this took. This could have been seconds. And you're rolling up and you're in a firefight, and then he's rolling in, and you want to give chase, but you want to do so judiciously because you don't know what this guy's got on him. You don't know if he entered the house and he's waiting to ambush you. I mean, right, you don't just bum rush in willy-nilly. So I don't necessarily – I don't see fault with police, the police response there. I just don't understand how they get in a firefight. He goes in. Maybe they're laying back, waiting for backup. I don't know, but you would think. And again, this is my cop show training, so take it for what it's worth. But just commonsensically, somebody goes to the front of the house, somebody goes to the back, and at least you hold position there if you're waiting for backup. And see if if you can get a look at what's going on, if you can get a shot at this guy, that sort of thing. That's all I'm saying. I mean, I'm not blaming anybody. I'm just asking a question about those moments and what police did or didn't do, could or couldn't have done. I'm not So it's not second guessing. It's asking questions for more detail about that encounter and how he was able to escape on foot. Too, because if backup is coming and they're obviously call in, shots are fired, you would think the swarm would make it pretty. This guy was not Usain Bolt. I mean, you would think that they would get around him quickly, but he was ultimately taken into custody.
60 miles away, so he got an e-bike and then bought a car and drove to his house in his lake home in northern Minnesota.
Yeah, okay. So he was ultimately taken into custody without anybody else being injured. That's the most important thing. But in those moments, I thought there was some legitimate questions to be asked.
It gets worse. So after Senator Hoffman and his wife were fired at 9 times for him, 8 times for her, they survived. He went to another state senator's house in New Hope, Michigan. And police were called to do a wellness check on the senator who lived in that area. They're not revealing the person's name. The officer who arrived at the home saw Bolter's car and mistook it for a police car. The New Hope officer pulled up next to Bolter in his car, rolled down her window, and attempted to speak with him. Bolter did not respond. According to the female officer, he just sat there and stared straight ahead. So the New Hope officer, who had been dispatched to the scene, proceeded to the state senator's home, and she waited for another law enforcement to arrive. When they did, they went in, and that time Bolter had left the scene and went to the state speaker, or the Speaker of the House's house, and killed her and her husband. Because there was 2 other lawmakers' homes that he visited. One, she was on vacation. The other family did not answer the door. So it's sinister. It's evil. This plan, it was well thought. I mean, did you see the vehicle, the SUV? It did look like a cop car. But sometimes, we just have to remember that people do impersonate police. There's a guy from Madison that got arrested on Thursday night on Michigan Avenue because he was dressed like a police officer trying to make arrests. It happens. And then as for his list of who was on his list, there were some Illinois politicians, but they're not. Governor Pritzker wasn't on it, but they're not telling reporters who was on the list.
Actually, that's not clear at all. The list thing. They're using words interchangeably. First is we're talking about notes and search engine results and what was found on devices, and then we're talking about the list. And the way that it's being discussed, I'm not clear who's on a list and who was searched and who's on devices and who is in his notebooks. So this is all pretty murky still. But the way they're talking about it and the way that even Pritzker talked about it at that press conference they had yesterday. Speaking of which, we'll pick this up at 5:38 because this Illinois angle to it and the calls for toning down the rhetoric here as is customary after horrific crimes like this, and the false equivalence between the political violence coming from the left and the incidents coming from the right. I want to address that, too, because unfortunately, Illinois Republicans like State Senate Supermajority Leader John Curran are incapable of doing so. That's at 5:38.
But now let's head into the newsroom. Here are the headlines.
Good morning. It's 71 degrees in Chicago in the AM 560. The Answer Newsroom. I'm Nikki Whaley. President Trump thinks Russia should be part of the current G7 summit in Canada.
While speaking about trade, Trump said that former President Obama worked to kick Russia out.
It used to be the G8. They threw Russia out, which I claimed was a very big mistake.
He said there would be no war in Ukraine if Russia was still in the group. The president also talked about trade, saying his primary focus while attending the meeting would be working through tariffs with Canada. I'm Mark Mayfield.
MyPillow founder and CEO Mike Lindell is liable for defamation and must pay millions of dollars in damages.
That's the ruling from a federal jury after Lindell claimed that Dominion Voting Systems and an executive rigged the 2020 presidential election. The jury ruled that Lindell and his media company, Frank Speech, must pay Eric Coomer more than $2 million in damages. Coomer had sued Lindell, saying the MyPillow CEO called him treasonous. Jurors found Lindell liable for 3 statements saying the company acted recklessly and inflicted emotional distress on Coomer. I'm Tammy Trujillo.
This report is sponsored by Indeed.com. You just realized your business needed to hire someone yesterday. How can you find amazing candidates fast? Easy. Just use Indeed. Start at Indeed.com/credit. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next, but not...
Make sure that you never miss a day of Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson when you subscribe to the Chicago's Morning Answer podcast, presented by Signature Bank. Listen to the entire show each day on demand with limited commercial breaks. You can subscribe today for free at 560theanswer.com and click on podcasts or search for Chicago's Morning Answer on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, or wherever you listen to podcasts.
Are you looking for a peaceful and enduring resting place for yourself or a loved one? Discover Fairview Memorial Park in North Lake, Illinois, a tranquil haven where your family's legacy can be honored for generations. We're excited to announce the upcoming completion of our beautiful new garden mausoleum opening this spring, offering both above-ground burial and cremation options. This serene space is surrounded by meticulously maintained landscaping and beautiful trees. With limited space available in our mausoleum, now's the time to plan ahead. Reserve your family's place today with prices starting around $7,000. And for a limited time, take advantage of a $500 discount when you pre-purchase a crypt. To learn more or secure your spot, visit fairview-memorialpark.com. That's fairview-memorialpark.com. Or stop by Fairview Memorial Park at 900 North Wolf Road in North Lake. Fairview Memorial Park. Peacefully beautiful.
Hi, it's Sean Thompson. You know, there's an old saying out there. Small hinges swing big doors. In other words, doing little things right can have a big result. Tom Fortino and the team of Alpha Wealth Group have been helping people retire since 2010 and have found that while many have an investment plan, very few have a tax plan. And that can be the element that makes a huge difference when it comes to money you'll have to spend in your retirement. What if you had a plan that protected you against future tax increases by the government? What if it kept your Social Security taxes from going up, all while keeping your Medicare premiums down? It is possible, and that's just the beginning. What kind of hinges are on your retirement door? You either have a tax plan or you don't. Call Tom Fortino and the team at Alpha Wealth Group today at 630-864-6711. That's 630-864-6711. Or download his complimentary Alpha Wealth reports by visiting alphawealthgroup.com.
Stop feeling embarrassed about thinning hair and start looking and feeling your best with Hair Grow by New Nordic. Available online at Amazon, Walmart.com, and NewNordicUSA.com, or at your local CVS.
Now, your official weather forecast.
Clouds and sun, thunderstorm late this afternoon, the high at 90. Shower and thunderstorm tonight. Low tonight 69. Heavy thunderstorm tomorrow. That could spark an isolated tornado, the high near 80. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560. The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. Only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy talking about the fallout from the assassination of that Minnesota legislator and her husband, the attempted murder of another legislator and his wife over the weekend, and the pro forma calls for improving the civility of our political rhetoric, toning things down, coming together in fellowship, all of those things.
Governor Walz said, find something in common with your neighbor.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, this after he said we should be meaner.
Well, find something in common with your neighbor. You know, like I do with ICE when I call them Gestapo. Right. So, and then, of course, the efforts to score political points or get into the banality of this particular individual's political motivations, assuming there were political motivations, because, again, we have a list, and we know, as the acting U.S. attorney said, that his motive was murder. Yeah, we got that. But in terms of what inspired him to commit these acts of violence, we don't know. And so enter the Illinois angle. And these perilous times where good civic leaders like J.B. Pritzker are under constant threat. This was the tenor of the coverage after the information came out that this individual was searching the names of other politicians in other states. You mentioned he stopped at the home of a Michigan legislator. And so here's the response from a couple of the Pauls representing ostensibly the two sides, to the extent there are two sides and two parties in Illinois. John Curran is the Senate superminority leader from the leafy western burbs. Here was his offering.
This type of cold-blooded, calculated execution is a level that in someone's home in the middle of the night is a level I'm unaware of before. Copycat is always a concern. When incidents like this receive media coverage, unfortunately, some people view that as an example of how to be infamous. So that is something that we take very seriously.
Is that the sort of response you would expect from a political / party leader? He's got a leadership title. Is that what it is? His conscience is shocked, and let's worry about copycats. Meanwhile, LG Sims, standing at the podium with Jelly Belly, had this to say.
We continue to lift them up because violence has no place in our public discourse. And that's why we continue to, in Illinois, continue to lift up, and even when we disagree, we are able to be disagreeable civilly.
Hey, LG, look at that fat man to your right. Have you heard his rhetoric over the last several weeks? Big speeches he gives in New Hampshire and elsewhere, calling for a protest and not letting any Republican have a moment of peace and so forth. I mean, just in addition to your colleague in the General Assembly, LG, Kelly Cassidy, calling anybody who opposes boys playing girls sports pedophiles. Republicans are obsessed with the genitalia of adolescents. That's what she said.
Yeah, Pritzker calling for mass mobilizations. Republicans can't know any peace.
So there's LG and there's Curran. Those are your enlightened legislators. You're showing real leadership in this difficult time. We're supposed to believe that. That's how it's being reported. Is that how you feel?
312-642-5600 is our turnkey.pro answer line. You can also text us on that same line.
Let me give you an alternative approach to commenting intelligently. And that is the alternative, intelligently, on this topic in this moment. Molly Hemingway on Fox yesterday talking about politically inspired violence.
It's important that people understand what's going on, that these riots are organized, that they are intended to be nationwide, and they're intended to go after the rule of law. You have people saying they want to not enforce border protections and security, and you see so much about how these riots are going, very similar to how the BLM riots went in 2020. And I noticed you talked about what was happening in Portland with the ICE facility. It's worth remembering that those same people sieged a federal courthouse in Portland for months in the summer of 2020. And Americans are really sick and tired of seeing this kind of violence go unchecked. Political violence can happen from any place, but there really is a problem on the left with sustained political violence, like going back for decades, and it needs to be honestly reported, and unfortunately it's not.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. It is not the same thing going on. It is not left and right, and they have Jan 6, and we have the congressional softball game, and the BLM looting and riots, and the L.A. ICE riots, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, going back at least to the Weathermen. It's not the same. It is systemic on the left. They are an ends justifying the means crew. This idea that every Republican wants this Minnesota killer to be a Democrat and vice versa is silliness. Mm-hmm. It's a false equivalence. I don't care what his political affiliation is. The commentary is on the relative threat levels when it comes to people who use violence as the means to political ends. And there is a great disparity on left versus right. Yeah, as Molly said, it can come from anywhere. But in terms of who uses it as a political tool, as a matter of course in advancing their political or attempting to advance their political agenda, it is clear where the problem is. And I'm sorry that that big dumb lummox eunuch, John Curran, who is about as useful as breasts on a bull when it comes to advancing the Republican Party's interests in this state, I'm sorry he can't speak with moral clarity. Doesn't even know what it looks like. And that's unfortunately the problem here in Illinois, generally speaking. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. George in Naperville.
Yes, Dan, use the correct speak. It's mostly peaceful rhetoric, what these politicians are doing.
Yes, exactly. Thank you, George.
I mean, even this, the No King March in Chicago. I mean, listen to this. 11 people were charged or given citations, although it remained peaceful. During the march, a 16-year-old boy was arrested and charged with 2 felony counts of aggravated battery against a police officer. He was taken into custody after striking an officer. So they say in the same breath that it's peaceful. And look at these pictures. There are 11 different people arrested, hitting police officers. That's not peaceful. They try to redefine everything, the left does.
The same people doing the same things with very similar grievances, certainly the very, very similar in terms of the nature of the grievances, in the same places, over and over and over again. It repeats itself. Pick an issue, any issue. I mentioned it yesterday, but just to refresh, defund the police, abolish ICE, impose reparations, mandate masks, shots, school closures, green energy limits on household appliances, EVs, abortions, free Palestine. Have you forgotten what you saw on the campus of Columbia and other places? Bang the drums of war with Russia, socialize college loan debt, ban guns and their manufacture. Have you seen Father Flagler shut down an expressway? Silence dissent. Do you remember cancel culture from 5 minutes ago? Imprison Trump voters. Do you remember those that are flying the phony flag of due process now? What they had to say about due process when it came to individuals for whom they don't share a political philosophy, starting with President Trump and moving down to Trump supporters, moving down to Trump staffers, the illegal weaponization of federal law enforcement agencies to target political opponents, to imprison political opponents. Not just the president.
Trump, yeah.
Not just the president either.
No. His supporters. And don't forget about the extreme violence over the past 6 months. The CEO of United Healthcare murdered. 2 Israeli embassy staffers murdered, about to be engaged, lovely couple. Tesla dealerships firebombed. Jewish demonstrators set on fire in Colorado. And the list goes on, and that's in the past 6 months.
It is endemic to the neo-Marxist revolutionaries. So no, not everybody carrying a sign, not everybody going to one of these silly rallies, not everybody who despises Trump or Republicans is violent. That's not what I'm saying. Be clear. We're speaking with moral clarity. I know this is a foreign conversation in Illinois, but that is endemic. It is an intrinsic quality for the neo-Marxist revolutionary movement. And the common sense counter-revolution is essentially peaceful in its orientation. That's the intrinsic quality and the difference between the two when it comes to this measure of, first of all, believing that the ends justify the means, because they don't. And once you go down that road, you are necessarily going in the direction of violence. And that's why it's endemic to their movement. And there are instances where, yes, people that profess conservative views commit acts of violence, break the law. And those people are wrong. And those people should be prosecuted because we believe in the rule of law. And we don't believe the ends justify the means. We don't believe in bombing abortion clinics. That's the difference. And we're not contextualizing or rationalizing them. We don't believe in assaulting police officers. And we're not contextualizing or rationalizing them. That's the way that you address this. Bill in LaSalle County.
Hi. It was reported on Saturday, June 14th in downtown Naperville, there was a 14-year-old boy arrested with a loaded 9mm in his waistband. In addition, at the big Kings rally that was happening in Yorkville, it was also reported that 4 individuals were trashing the Casey's store on US 34 in Yorkville.
Yeah, they had a meetup Saturday night.
It's coming to the neighborhoods, whether the people think it is or not.
I know it is, but it drives me bonkers that the local news they'll show a meetup in Chicago that turns violent, but I've not seen any footage from Naperville, especially the one on Saturday night when someone got arrested. There's hundreds of people, teenagers there.
They're too busy cooking up sophistry about ICE raids in the big city, and we'll pick that story up after the break.
The more you listen, the more you'll know. This is Chicago's Morning Answer. Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
At AlmostFreeTeeth.com, they're dedicated to making smiles great again. If you have medical PPO insurance, find out how you could save 90% off on average to get a beautiful dental implant-supported smile. Check if you qualify right now at AlmostFreeTeeth.com. Be prepared for tax changes in 2025. Without a solid strategy, you could risk losing more of your hard-earned savings than necessary. VestGen Wealth Partners can help develop proactive tax plans designed to help keep more money in your pockets. Visit GetRetiredStayRetired.com for a free review.
Advisory services offered through VestGen Advisors, LLC, an SEC registered investment advisor. Securities offered through Private Client Services, LLC, member FINRA and SIPC. Private Client Services and VestGen Advisors, LLC are unaffiliated entities. Any information discussed does not constitute investment advice. VestGen Advisors and Private Client Services do not offer tax legal advice.
Sign up for the AM 560 Answer Advantage to get early alerts on event ticket sales, special discounts, and contest opportunities. Sign up today at 560theanswer.com/advantage.
This is Ed Morrissey of HotAir.com for Town Hall. After decades of bad faith talks, lies, and state-sponsored terrorism aimed at the United States and our allies, Iran suddenly wants Donald Trump's intervention on their behalf. On Monday, their foreign minister implored Trump to intervene to force Israel into a ceasefire. It takes one phone call from Washington, he wrote on Twitter, to muzzle someone like Netanyahu. The Ayatollah has put death to America on hiatus, it seems, after 46 years of threatening our destruction and attempting to follow through in Beirut, in Iraq, and in assassination plots against American presidents, including Trump. Trump isn't likely to rescue the Iranians from the fate they themselves have chosen. They had over 20 years to come clean about their pursuit of nuclear weapons. The regime has turned Iran into a terror state, operating proxy armies that have killed Americans and Israelis alike for decades. If they're allowed to resume any pursuit of nuclear technology, they'll use it to destroy anyone and everyone who opposes them. Let Israel finish the job and finish the terror regime. I'm Ed Morrissey.
Suburban Welding and Steel is your local welding, fabricating, and repair shop where service and quality is number one. Their dedicated team of experts can repair a job on site or in their shop located in Franklin Park. They have the machinery needed to get your project completed with the craftsmanship and precision so you can get back to business. Suburban Welding and Steel Services, more than just the manufacturing industry. They also service the food industry, heavy equipment, trucking, airports, and railroads. Walk-ins are also welcome, so if you need it welded, repaired, fabricated, or modified, Suburban Welding and Steel will do the laser cutting, machining, forming, and plate rolling for you. Or they have the materials you need in stock and ready for the purchase. And if you know a hardworking person looking for a career in the trade, Suburban Welding and Steel is looking to add to their team of experts. Visit SuburbanWeldingandSteel.com to see the full story on what they can do for you. SuburbanWeldingandSteel.com.
AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. So Trump at the G7 in Alberta yesterday had some comments in the direction of our fair political power structure, specifically Jelly Belly and BLM Brandon.
I want them to focus on the cities, because the cities are where you really have what's called sanctuary cities, and that's where the people are. I look at New York, I look at Chicago. I mean, you got a really bad governor in Chicago and a bad mayor, but the governor's probably the worst in the country, Pritzker. But I look at how that city has been overrun by criminals.
He's right about that. And this is in the context of his direction of ICE to expand operations in places like Chicago, which has been overrun. Ray Lopez, Alderman Ray, was on Fox yesterday following up on those comments from President Trump and adding some important detail. Remember this statistic, 2000.
Well, I think what we found interesting, Sandra, is when Governor Pritzker was before Congress, he said that we don't protect criminals, that we work with our federal partners, and we do all of these great things, which quite simply does not happen in the real application of the law. And the same goes for Brandon Johnson when, as mayor, appeared before Congress and said we don't harbor criminals. I don't know where these versions of them have been over the last few years, particularly as the border crisis has become our backyard crisis. We have 60,000 migrant asylum seekers who are here in the city of Chicago alone, 2,000 of which Tom Homan has said have been vetted by the previous administration and found to be criminal, dangerous, both to our communities and to our country. Why would we not want to work with our federal partners to get rid of them?
But
I don't understand that, and that's where we find ourselves today.
2,000 out of 60,000 is a small percentage, but a big problem.
One could be a problem.
2,000. To put that in some context. 2,000 in a city of whatever it is now, 2.5 million people. No. Remember a few years ago when Eddie Johnson was the police superintendent, and we were talking about a spike in violent crime? What else, of course, were we talking about? Because we were up at 700 murders and 3,500 people shot. And, it's a little bit higher than our 10-year rolling average, and so it generates a little bit of notice. And he said, we have about 1,500 people in the city who we know are likely to be murdered or to commit a murder. In other words, we have this sort of
list,
this criminal class, this cohort of Chicago residents who are oriented towards violence in their life. And obviously we can't pre-crime arrest them, not talking about that, but just in terms of it is a small, relatively small group of people creating a lot of death and destruction and chaos. And now we just threw 2004 nationals into that mix as well, vetted as criminals in this country illegally. And BLM Brandon and Jelly Belly have done what to extract them? Extract them?
Extract them. They're
protecting.
They're protecting him, giving him phones, food, clothes.
Exactly what Ray Lopez just said.
Mm-hmm.
Protecting 2,000 foreign national criminals as vetted by the previous administration in Chicago. Let that wash over you. Share with your friends that pretend to be interested in due process and law and order and public safety and so forth. And then what do we get from the Chicago Press Corps? The I-Team is on the job. Oh, the I-Team. So ICE expanding operations in Chicago, and they're looking for ways to characterize ICE as Gestapo, running roughshod over poor, huddled masses yearning to breathe free.
Well, yesterday they focused on an Elgin man who was ripped from his car and his wife's pregnant.
Yeah, this was the coverage of that incident.
In this video shared on social media, federal agents are seen struggling to remove a man from his vehicle. The scene in Elgin upsetting to neighbors who witnessed it.
It was bad. My neighbors were crying. Their daughter was crying. It's bad.
It was very scary. Like, I felt a knot in my stomach when I saw him getting detained.
The FBI confirms to the ABC7 I-Team it was assisting in an immigration enforcement action that resulted in that man's arrest around 7:30 a.m. on this residential street. Those cries are from the man's girlfriend, who tells agents she's 8 months pregnant. Her pleas to release her partner ignored.
Nada, no tiene récord criminal.
She later told us in Spanish her boyfriend is undocumented but has no criminal record, works as a fencing contractor, and has lived in Elgin for 12 years. An ICE spokesperson unable to tell us why the man was arrested. But the Chicago ICE field office director tells the I-Team, at a time when the president has called for stepped-up deportations, including in Chicago, the primary target remains those who've committed crimes.
We're here conducting targeted enforcement still. Unfortunately, we have a lot of targets here in the Chicago area to look for. We don't have a shortage of targets, and so when people are out there looking, they're looking for a specific target.
He was ripped from his vehicle because he resisted arrest. That's what happens when you resist arrest. Number one. Number two, he's got a court date. He'll have his due process. You want to know why he is taken into custody by ICE? Well, show up to court. I'm sorry, I'm not taking his girlfriend at face value.
No, she doesn't. He could have committed crimes before she met him.
Or she's just lying.
She's just lying.
I mean, I hate to go against the I-Team. I know that her word is good enough for them, but sorry, not for me. So we have courts of law, and he's going to be in one. There you go.
Do you think they'll be there too to follow up and see what he was?
The I-Team? I doubt it.
Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
At 6:06, Iran is de-escalating, but Trump is escalating against Tucker. 6:06.
It is now 6 a.m. WIND Chicago.
He's no longer in Canada. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. President Trump left the G7 summit early, arriving back in Washington a few hours ago to deal with the Israel-Iran conflict at the White House, where Fox's Mark Meredith reports.
He wanted to make sure he could have secure communication with his staff. The president says Iran should tread carefully, not do anything to endanger U.S. troops or civilians living in the Middle East. He also doubled down on his belief that a nuclear Iran is not an option. On Truth Social, on his way back to the White House, he also posted, he said, I have not reached out to Iran for peace talks in any way, shape, or form. If they want to talk, they know how to reach me. They should have taken the deal that was on the table, would have saved a lot of lives.
In another Trump post, he warned everyone in Tehran to evacuate. And as the Israeli attacks continue today, they're targeting more than just the nuclear sites in Iran.
The IDF claims to have killed Ali Shadmani, Iran's newly appointed wartime chief of staff. He was the most senior military commander closest to the Grand Ayatollah.
Fox's Mike Tobin also reports from Tel Aviv as Iran keeps firing back.
The ballistic missile attacks continue, but the numbers have decreased. We had a number of false alarms last night, and this morning a missile attack did materialize, but instead of hundreds of missiles and drones, there were tens of missiles and drones. About 4 of them did get through. We saw them impact the town of Herzliya, just a little north of Tel Aviv where we are.
But no casualties are reported. Iran's counterattacks have killed 24 Israelis so far in all. Russia have bombarded Ukraine again overnight, killing at least 15 people there.
The nighttime barrage saw drones and missiles rain down on Ukraine's capital, Kyiv, killing and injuring civilians as they slept in their beds. A 9-story residential building demolished, others badly damaged. One of the dead is reported to be a U.S. citizen.
Fox's Jonathan Savage. The president cutting his trip to Canada short cancels the meeting he was supposed to have today with Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky. Former Senator Bob Menendez reports to federal prison today. A New Jersey Democrat has to serve an 11-year sentence for bribery and corruption. America's listening to Fox.
Good morning. It's 71 degrees in Chicago in the AM 560 The Answer newsroom. I'm Nikki Whaley. Former Illinois House Speaker Michael Madigan is expected to report to prison on October 13th. The 83-year-old was sentenced Friday to 7.5 years behind bars on charges of bribery, wire fraud, and conspiracy. Madigan's also ordered to pay a $2.5 million fine. It's not clear where he'll serve his time in prison. 5 more speed cameras are being activated in Chicago. The devices will issue warnings for 30 days before tickets are generated. Violators going 6 miles over will be fined $35, and those going 11 miles over face a $100 fine. Cameras installed previously will start enforcement on July 15th. Outgoing Chicago Public Schools CEO Pedro Martinez is proud of what the district has accomplished since he took over as leader. Speaking yesterday at the City Club of Chicago, Martinez says if the district continues in the same direction, there's no limit to what the children can do.
Not only are students graduating, they're better prepared than ever. Our metrics are at record levels. And by the way, our college persistence rate, so over 73% of our children persist in college.
Martinez says it's been a privilege to serve as CEO, and there's been nothing more important to him than the success of the children. His comments come just days before his last day as the school's chief. Martinez was fired in December following clashes with Mayor Johnson and the Chicago Teachers Union over district finances. News is a service of AlmostFreeTeeth.com. Have you been getting high quotes for dental implants? With medical PPO insurance, it's possible to save 90% off on average. See if you qualify today at AlmostFreeTeeth.com. Making smiles great again. A check of the roads coming up in 2 minutes on AM 560. The Answer.
Hugh Hewitt talks tariffs.
Now, I think the best argument for the 10% global tariff is that the United States, in effect, guarantees freedoms of the sea and international law to the extent that it is everywhere applied. We do the most of the heavy lift. We keep the peace. We're the marshal. And it's very expensive, and no one sends us a check.
The Hugh Hewitt Show. Afternoons at 2, right before Sean Thompson at 4 on AM 560. The Answer.
I'm Ed Evans, CEO of Consumer Cellular. No, we're not one of the big guys. Truth is, we don't want to be. If you're over 50, Big Wireless probably has you paying for more data than you might need. You could be throwing away thousands over a lifetime. We're not here to be the biggest. We're here to bring you something we believe is better. Our plans start at just $20. You'll get the same fast nationwide coverage without the big wireless bill.
Call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com/facts. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing. See site for additional facts.
Life insurance. Why are you putting it off? Can't afford it? Too much hassle? Think you don't need it? There's lots of excuses for putting off life insurance. But if you weren't there, who would pay the mortgage and other bills? With Ethos, you could be covered in 10 minutes and boom, family protected. Ethos. Fast and easy online term life insurance. Up to $2 million in coverage with no medical exam. Some policies as low as $1 a day. Answer a few health questions and get your free quote at ethos.com/policy. That's ethos.com/policy.
Hi, Amy Jacobson here, and I won't sugarcoat it. Crime in Illinois is rampant. Every day we hear about home invasions, armed robberies, carjackings. It's terrifying. That's why I turned to Goldilocks for my home security. My family and I feel so much safer. They showed me what intruders look for and installed a state-of-the-art smart security system. They offer HD cameras, motion sensors, smart locks, and real-time mobile alerts. I check mine all the time. So whether I'm home or not, I know who's at my door and who shouldn't be. Goldilocks also secures businesses of all sizes. They have security doors, keyless entry, 24/7 monitoring. Trust me, you'll never regret being prepared, but you may regret doing nothing. Tell them Amy Jacobson sent you, and Goldilocks will include 3 months of monitoring for free with any new install. Call Goldilocks today, 708-889-5600. That's 708-889-5600, or visit them online at GoldilocksInc.com.
From the Team Hochberg Traffic Center, I'm Nikki Whaley. On the Edens inbound from Lake Cook to Montrose, 15 minutes. Outbound, about 14 minutes. On the Kennedy inbound from Montrose to the Burn Interchange, 7 minutes. Outbound, about 9 minutes. On the Eisenhower inbound from Wolf to the Old Post Office, it's about 12 minutes. Outbound, about 12 minutes. On the Stevenson inbound from the Tri-State to Lakeshore Drive, 15 minutes. Outbound, about 15 minutes. On the Dan Ryan inbound from 95th to the Burn Interchange, about 12 minutes. Outbound, about 11 minutes. Traffic is a service of Fox Valley Coins. This is a great time to bring in your scrap gold jewelry and sterling flatware. Cash or check offered on the spot. FoxValleyCoins.com. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next, but now check your forecast from the National Weather Service.
Clouds and sun, thunderstorm late this afternoon, the high at 90. Shower and thunderstorm tonight. Low tonight 69. Heavy thunderstorm tomorrow. That could spark an isolated tornado, the high near 80. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560. The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Again at the G7 in Alberta. President Trump had this to say in the direction of Iran and coming to the table to negotiate peace.
They should have done that before. I had 60 days and they had 60 days. And on the 61st day, I said, we don't have a deal. They have to make a deal. And it's painful for both parties, but I'd say Iran is not winning this war. And they should talk, and they should talk immediately before it's too late.
Mm-hmm. Something he's been saying since Israel launched those strikes against Iranian nuclear sites. And
on Friday.
Consistent with what he's been saying, talking about President Trump, for, well, years, really. I mean, again and again and again.
And that was a license for them to make nuclear weapons. And you cannot let Iran have a nuclear weapon. You cannot let it happen because bad things will happen if that happens. But everybody stopped. They were ready to make a deal. We would have made a deal that was great for everybody. No nuclear weapons. You can't give them nuclear weapons. Now they're going to have a nuclear weapon. Don't let Iran have nuclear weapons. That's my only thing I have to tell you today. Don't let them have it. They would have never had them, including Iran. They can't have a nuclear weapon. That's all. They can't have nuclear weapons. It's too destructive, too powerful. They can't have it.
Pretty clear. And so now Israel is acting in furtherance of Iran not having nuclear weapons. And essentially, it seems right now that Bibi Netanyahu, Israel's prime minister, is trying to get President Trump to fly in formation and help them finish the deal.
312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. You could text us on the same line. President Trump left the G7 summit early and ordered the National Security Council prepare for a meeting at the White House Situation Room.
And the Iranian response, much to perhaps the surprise of some of these sort of reflexive, I guess they would call themselves America Firsters or anti-neocon, although Trump is distancing his America First from the America First as perhaps best presented by Tucker Carlson. And he gets to Tucker in a moment. Tucker, dire predictions. Has been making dire predictions for the last couple of weeks about war with Iran. And yet, in response to the Israeli strikes on the nuclear sites in Iran, the lead story in the Journal is a battered Iran signals it wants to de-escalate hostilities with Israel and negotiate. We also have predictions of $30 gasoline because of the interruption, the ostensible interruption of the oil supply and oil markets if Israel strikes Iran and America gets involved. And we have an oil price spike that wasn't. The big news in oil markets since Israel's attack on Iran's nuclear program is the price spike that wasn't. Brent crude popped from $66 a barrel or so to a high of $78 last week, but by Monday it was back down to $73 a barrel.
Well, they kept saying it's going to be $150 a barrel.
The non-panic goes to ample global supply, and it's a lesson for Congress and the Trump administration as they contemplate putting new sanctions on Russian oil exports. The Journal editorial board goes on to say wars are predictable. An Iranian attack on Saudi oil feeds or shutting down the Strait of Hormuz is possible. Iran has made so many self-damaging mistakes leading up to this war that another can't be ruled out. But global oil production is in reasonable shape to cope with anything short of catastrophic disruption. Saudi Arabia has been producing more, as has Guyana, Brazil, and Canada. U.S. production hit a record 13.5 million barrels a day in March. A sustained price of $70 or above would be welcomed by U.S. frackers, some of which have been taking rigs offline as prices slip towards 60. So, again, in terms of this immediate chain reaction that's predicted, well, we're not seeing it. Now, as the Journal editorial board said, I would certainly echo, wars are unpredictable, but this is peace through strength, one might argue. And one might argue it is worth helping Israel finish the job as they take the lead. well, first of all, I should mention Israel's ambassador to the United States, Yakil Leiter, had this to say over the weekend, backing up the pronouncements made by the prime minister. Iran might need to de-escalate if they want peace, but Israel is here to do a job, just like they were here to do a job when it comes to Hamas and Hezbollah.
How do you contain this war?
Martha, the objective is not to contain the war. The objective is to win the war. Look, 80 years ago, we had a little man with a mustache running around Europe that nobody believed him when he said he's going to destroy the Jewish people. We lost 6 million. Now we've got a crazed new Hitler running around the Middle East saying he's going to destroy us. We have to take him at face value. That's his intention. He says it every day. He's got a concrete plan to destroy us. This isn't a joke. This is very serious for us. It's existential.
And so here's where things are at. Isfahan is where Iran converts raw uranium into uranium feed gases for enrichment. The strike, according to IDF, Israeli Defense Forces, the strikes dismantled a facility for producing metallic uranium, infrastructure for reconverting enriched uranium, laboratories, and additional infrastructure. The IAEA has confirmed that Isfahan has sustained considerable damage. Natanz, where enrichment capacity is buried underground, less clear. A veteran nuclear monitor, David Albright, finds the Israeli strikes destroyed Iran's pilot fuel enrichment plant and the electrical infrastructure powering the site, which could knock its centrifuges out of commission. And then you've probably heard this talked about Fordo, the enrichment site, which is buried deep under a mountain and has not been touched because Israel doesn't have the weaponry or even the capacity to deliver weaponry. Were they given the weaponry? And these bunker-busting bombs is where Israel needs the United States' help to knock out the enrichment site at Fordo. And interestingly, you might be surprised by this exchange between Arizona Senator Mark Kelly and Gloria Vanderbilt's kid. Mark Kelly talking about specifically Fordo and giving the sort of double speak that you're used to from feckless politicians. On the one hand, I want this. On the other hand, I'm not willing to act in furtherance of what I say I want and America needs.
You know, I would like to see Iran's nuclear capability to be completely disarmed. It is a tough problem. You would have to hit those facilities, the underground facilities, with GBU-57s. You know, the massive ordnance penetrator. It's a 5,000-pound weapon. The Israelis, not only do they not have the weapon, they don't have the ability to deliver it, even if they did have it, you know, at this point. So, Anderson, this is a complicated problem. I think it's going to be hard. Even once you try to strike something that's underground, they can rebuild it. You know, my view on this is ultimately if you wanted to completely eliminate the ability for them to get to someday down the line, get to a nuclear weapon, you'd have to remove the uranium-235, the uranium hexafluoride gas, which is what you first put into the centrifuges. You'd have to destroy all the centrifuges. That would take a capability that, in my view, the Israelis currently do not have. I don't want to see this escalate. I think maybe there's a scenario, you know, here in the next couple days, or maybe in a week or so, that the Iranians would agree to come to some sort of negotiated settlement to get us back to a point where they are not going to continue to develop a nuclear weapon, and we can do it in a way that's verifiable.
I'd like to see the Iran nuclear program go away entirely, but I don't want this to escalate. Well, which is it? Do you want to help Israel finish the job here, or don't you? You know, I mean, just as you don't take Iran at face value right now saying we want to de-escalate hostilities and negotiate, Bibi is certainly not. He's basically saying I have no interest. What is the point of coming together to be lied to and countenance stall tactics? Because that's all Iran is really interested in. Perhaps he's probably right. And so we're going to come together to negotiate a deal with bad faith actor that would just be buying time to reconstitute and rebuild from the damage inflicted rather than finishing the job against this nuclear program that has been a burr under our saddle for decades now. Seems to me Israel's presented an opportunity. And there's nothing expansionist about the war. This isn't warmongering. We're not talking about nation building. We're talking about Iran can have nuclear weapons, and we have a chance to ensure that that is not a possibility for many moons to come if you eliminate all the infrastructure that they have built illicitly over the last several decades.
312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line.
We're not talking about regime change, although that, as Bibi said, that could be something that happens, and that's up to the Iranian people. And frankly, for Iranians yearning to breathe free, for pro-Western Iranians, if you can provide some aid and comfort to those who have a peaceful pluralist mindset in Iran to push out this crippled leadership, many of whom have been zapped out of existence. Sure, go ahead.
BBB, Benjamin Netanyahu, he wouldn't mind if the Ayatollah was taken out of power.
Well, nobody would mind that. Nobody would mind that. But the question is, what do you do in furtherance of that? You don't just wish upon a star. You have to do things. Or we're going to provide a landscape that provides opportunity, and then it's up for the Iranians themselves to choose what kind of country they would like to have. Tucker Carlson emerged to address some things because Trump has been increasingly hostile to Tucker Carlson. Now he's naming him. He was asked about Tucker Carlson's comments that Trump is complicit in Israel's war against Iran at the G7 and said this.
I don't know what Tucker Carlson is saying. Let him go get a television network and say it so that people listen. Thank you.
He also posted on Truth Social, somebody please explain to kooky Tucker Carlson that Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. Kooky. Another fight among brothers. First Elon, now Tucker, for very different reasons. Tucker Carlson went on Steve Bannon's podcast to talk about this. And here's what he said about his view on the situation in the Middle East and the basis for it.
I actually really love Trump. I think he's a deeply humane, kind person. And I am saying this because I'm really afraid that my country's going to be further weakened by this. I think we're going to see the end of American empire, obviously. Other nations would like to see that, and this is a perfect way to scuttle the USS America on the shoals of Iran. But it's also going to end, I believe, Trump's presidency and effectively end it. And so that's why I'm saying this.
What do you mean by that? That's coming from you. That's
you get. Look, I knew Bush. I knew George W. Bush. We had, family connections to Bush. I knew Bush personally. I still see Bush sometimes, and of course, he hates me, and he does because I criticized him on Iraq, and that war is the sum total, from a historical perspective, of his administration. But I knew him, and he had all kinds of plans for the things that he wanted to do. But once domestically, right, to improve the country. Right. And you may agree or disagree, but in his mind, he wasn't just about the invasion of Iraq in March of 2000.
Oh, no. He was going to redo Social Security.
100%,
he had all that, all types of. He was going to take care of the entitlements issue.
And he really thought it was going to work.
Yep.
And you could laugh at that or whatever, but the point is, the second you get enmeshed in a real war, not a fake, let's go bomb the villagers and declare success, though we don't even have a good track record. Why are the Houthis still there?
No,
there's a whole other question, right, which is how prepared is the U.S. military for a real conflict? And the answer is totally unprepared. Scary unprepared. I don't think people understand that. But anyway, the only reason I'm saying any of this is because I really, really care.
312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. You share Tucker's view on this or Trump's posture? And, and then there's some daylight, actually, on the Trump position, because there are people, well, like me, suggesting that he should throw in with Israel to help them take out that enrichment site at Fordo. And Trump's position has been to resist that at this juncture and to continue to push Iran to the negotiating table or attempt to. Tucker Carlson also responding to the suggestion that he's anti-Semitic or anti-Zionist and just doesn't like Israel.
Whether or not you believe in Christianity, whether or not you're a Christian, it doesn't matter. It is true that people who espouse violence suffer in the end. They do. I have seen it a lot. And I grew up in a world that espoused violence. That's what the U.S. government does. My dad was involved in it. And I just believe that. And maybe you don't believe that. That's fine. That is my core belief. I sincerely think that. But why the hate towards someone who's just like, hey, I'm hard. If you think, and I said this to an Israeli official, if you think I'm anti-Israel, man, you have lost the plot, son. If you think I'm your enemy, not at all. I like Israel. Are you kidding? I've spent a lot of time there. I continue to like it. I pray that Jerusalem is not damaged. I feel so sad for the Israelis who've been killed in the last couple of days and the Iranians who've been killed in the last couple of days who had nothing to do with any of this. But the point is, if you think that saying, hey, let's focus on my country where I was born, where my family's been for hundreds of years, that was the promise of the last election, please do it. If you think that's hate, you know, you've really lost perspective, I guess is what I would say.
312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. Whose flag do you want to fly in this one? Lewis, Southside.
Good morning, Dan. Good morning, Dan. Good morning, Amy. Tucker Carlson, they need to place a disclaimer on him for entertainment purposes only. What Donald Trump is doing, Donald Trump is raw, he's street, and he's a gangster, and he's making a gangster move. And this is what he's doing. What they say, this ain't personal. This is business, and that's what this is about. This is about business. What he's doing is he's taking out, he's using one stone to take out 3 competitors. Okay, by taking out Iran, that gives him more leverage with Russia that's going on, and with China that's going on. He has more leverage with them by taking out Iran and supporting the Israelis.
Thanks for the call, Lewis. There may be something to that. I mean, because when it was suggested by Macron that Trump was leaving the G7 summit early to work on a ceasefire, Trump said, Macron has it wrong, as per usual. It's much bigger than a ceasefire, what I'm working on. So it could be, a double bank shot, as Lewis suggests. Certainly he has Russia and Ukraine in his mind's eye as well, particularly after the most deadly attack in Kyiv in some time that just happened with drone strikes by the Russians.
Is this putting America first? What Trump's doing? I mean, I think so. I like Trump, and I trust him to do the right thing. So,
I would say. I mean, I agree with him that we can't have a nuclear Iran.
Right.
I don't agree with Tucker that the idea of preventing the lead state sponsor of terror in the world from getting nuclear weapons is somehow promoting violence, which is what he intimated. I don't think that makes any sense whatsoever. I think Tucker's position to be America first and to look inward is fine to an extent. I mean, foolish consistency is the hobgoblin of little minds, and I think Tucker's being a little foolishly consistent here with this sort of navel gazing. I mean, America needs to be the global leader because the vacuum that we create, there's all kinds of horribles that are poised to fill it. And that would not be in America's interest, so that wouldn't be putting America first. Whether you want America to be the global hegemon or not, we need to be, so as to prevent, for example, the Chinese communists from filling that power vacuum that we would leave if we retreated. That doesn't mean to be empire building. It doesn't mean to go off on foreign nation building gambits, but it does mean to do things like prevent a nuclearized Iran, particularly when you thankfully have Israel doing some of the immediate heavy lifting. It's nice to have allies. And, by the way, against the backdrop of allies in the Arab world that Trump has developed over the course of his term and a half, from the Abraham Accords to his most recent trip to the Middle East, seeking foreign investment. So I like the isolation of Iran, and I like the elimination of the infrastructure that could provide a glide path for a nuclear Iran. That is, to me, putting America first. Greg and Schomburg.
Hi, Dan and Amy. 2 quick statements. If Trump does not allow our military to go in and wipe out that uranium complex with whatever we need to in order to get that taken care of, it is going to be not only a stain on his reputation, it's going to be the linchpin, in my estimation, to when the world war starts that will annihilate humanity. It will be the one key decision that you look at, to which Trump will be held accountable for. And the second thing is, any American Jew right now who is not supporting Trump is absolutely immoral, in my estimation. Thanks.
Thanks for the call, Greg. Yeah, but by the way, all this sort of eschatological talk about taking out Iran's nuclear program, sort of in both directions, I think is unwarranted. So, the end of the American empire, the end of the Trump presidency, if he assists Israel in taking out Iran's nuclear infrastructure? No, I don't think so.
No.
Robert in Bloomingdale.
Good morning. Well, my opinion, if he goes all in, he's got to look like a big winner, because if this escalates where some other country jumps in or something happens where unforeseen things happen where it's not a big win, Russia and China are going to be the big winners. So this is a big gamble. If you're in, you got to win. If you don't win, U.S. looks like it's got an egg on its face.
Thanks for the call, Robert. Well, Israel has just provided a pretty big opening. Perhaps we should walk through it. Jim in LaGrange.
Hey, good morning, Dan and Amy. So I think Tucker Carlson is becoming more irrelevant by the minute. He just keeps moving in a bizarre direction. He's kind of zigzagging. But aside from that, maybe we can just take about $9 billion on pallets and drop it off to Tehran in the middle of the night, and maybe that'll appease them. I mean, who knows? But
that's been so done before, Jim. Yes.
Yeah, I know. Tongue in cheek. You know what? They only recognize strength in the Middle East, and Trump is strong, and that's the right direction for this situation. He's got buy-in from his partners in the Middle East, it seems like, because no one's balking and no one's squeaking. So, keep going. Let's see what we can do here. Take care. Have a great day.
Thanks, Jim. All right, coming up at 6:36, we'll leaven it. It's been heavy this morning. Leaven it with latest installment of Sports and Politics. National anthems in play in Sports and Politics at 6:36.
In Espanol. But now let's head into the newsroom. Here is Nikki Whaley.
Good morning. It's 71 degrees in Chicago in the AM 560 The Answer newsroom. I'm Nikki Whaley. President Trump is back in the States today after leaving the G7 summit in Canada early. The president said his departure was due to conflict between Israel and Iran that needed to focus more on the matter. Summit attendee French President Emmanuel Macron told reporters he'd heard Trump was leaving to work on a ceasefire proposal. Trump fired off a response on social media insisting Macron had no idea why he was returning to Washington, but saying it certainly has nothing to do with a ceasefire. Purdue Pharma is entering a $7.4 billion settlement with 55 U.S. states and territories.
The states and territories accused the company behind OxyContin of fueling the nationwide opioid crisis by aggressively marketing its products. The settlement will also end the Sackler family's ownership of Purdue Pharma. Money from the settlement will go to state and local governments, individuals, and Native American tribes. Since 1999, there have been more than 850,000 opioid-related overdose deaths in the U.S., according to the CDC. I'm Matt Mattinson.
News is a service of Quick Delivery Service. Make Quick Delivery Service your personal ground crew. Anytime, anywhere, any place. When you need to move your shipment or freight, Quick Delivery will get it there. Get a quote in advance and eliminate any surprises at quickdelivery.com. I check on the roads coming up in 2 minutes on AM 560 The Answer.
Charlie Kirk believes ignorance is part of the problem.
He yelled, "Free Palestine." This is a pattern, and it's only continuing. What is driving this? Well, first of all, and this just needs to be said, the misunderstanding of what is actually happening between Israel and Hamas drives people to do insane stuff.
The Charlie Kirk Show, weekdays at 11, right before Hugh Hewitt at 2 on AM 560. The Answer.
I guess one of the biggest sacrifices that I think we made starting Penny Mustard was personal time.
Ben and Arvid Huth, brothers and owners of Penny Mustard Furnishings.
Yeah, we just lived, ate, and breathed work all the time for years.
Yep.
And moving from a town where I knew a lot of people, I was going to school in Eau Claire and kind of living the college life, to move into Milwaukee and work all the time where I knew nobody. We didn't know anybody down here.
Yep.
And it took us a long time before we knew a lot of people down here.
Well, we were working so much.
And we were working a lot.
Yeah.
And that's hard, especially when you're in your younger 20s.
Yeah.
That's when you're supposed to be partying.
I do remember, I think I was 31 before I actually stayed out till midnight on New Year's Eve.
Holy cow.
Because New Year's Day is a big day, and you were on the sales floor, and you can't stay out till midnight and do what you got to do the next day. That was like a milestone in my life where I actually stayed out till midnight because I didn't have to be at a store the next day. I was 31 years old already.
That's impressive. Embarrassing.
Well, probably.
See more at pennymustard.com.
Are you turning 65 and thinking about Medicare? Or are you over 65 and haven't enrolled yet because you still have coverage at work? Either way, Medicare done correctly will be the best health insurance you will ever have. Imagine having an annual deductible of only $257. There are only two good things about aging, wisdom and Medicare. But to navigate the Medicare maze properly, you need a mentor. Best part? My guidance costs you nothing. Call me. I can help.
If you're tired of calling a bureaucrat at an 800 number to help you navigate Medicare, then you need a local expert on your side. Your own health insurance mentor. C. Stephen Tucker from healthinsurancementors.com is someone I know and trust. He's a 30-year licensed broker who's been educating our listeners for more than a decade. Steve, how can our listeners get in touch with you?
Thanks, Dan. They can visit healthinsurancementors.com or call me directly at 630-674-1551. That's 630-674-1551.
Maha starts with Virago, making America healthy again. With the worst flu season in years, you need an immune system boost. The stronger your immune system, the stronger your body fights and defends against and. So get Virago. Virago Immune Enhancement Support is a unique blend of 23 nutraceuticals, ingredients that have been available as individual nutraceuticals, but now working in synergy to maximize their effects. Recommended by medical physicians, dentists, and other healthcare professionals, Virago is the nutraceutical cocktail for immune support. Developed to strengthen your immune system for quick response to immune challenges, for short and long-term immunity, antiviral, anti-inflammatory, antioxidant. It even protects your heart, kidneys, liver, all in a unique liquid supplement for better absorption. Order online at myvirago.com. That's myvirago.com. myvirago.com. Use coupon code IMMUNE to save 30%. Quality ingredients for optimum health. Maha. Making America healthy again starts with Virago.
Stop feeling embarrassed about thinning hair and start looking and feeling your best with Hair Grow by New Nordic. Available online at Amazon, Walmart.com, and NewNordicUSA.com, or at your local CVS.
From the Team Hochberg Traffic Center, I'm Nikki Whaley. On the Edens inbound from Lake Cook to Montrose, 15 minutes. Outbound, about 14 minutes. On the Kennedy inbound from Montrose to the Burn Interchange, 7 minutes. Outbound, about 9 minutes. On the Eisenhower inbound from Wolf to the Old Post Office, it's about 12 minutes. Outbound, about 12 minutes. On the Stevenson inbound from the Tri-State to Lakeshore Drive, 15 minutes. Outbound, about 15 minutes. This report is sponsored by Straight Talk Wireless. Straight Talk might not be on your shopping list, but it should be. Next time you're grabbing some milk off the shelf at your local Walmart, stop by the Straight Talk aisle and switch to real unlimited data. It's quick and convenient. It won't even take up room in your card. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next, but now a check of your forecast from the National Weather Service.
Hot day today, clouds and sun. Thunderstorm in spots late this afternoon, the high 90. A shower and thunderstorm forward this evening, low 69. Heavy thunderstorms tomorrow could spark an isolated tornado, the high near 80. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios.
Sports and politics and sports and politics and sports and politics and intersection. Arrogance and ignorance. Arrogance, ignorance, and arrogance and ignorance. Intersection.
Dan and Amy, a lot to get to in sports and politics. Starting with national anthems. Some New York Mets fans not happy after at the ballpark on the big screen. They showed a pride flag flying while the national anthem was being sung.
Ooh. Yeah, that wouldn't sit well with me either. But what did they do about it? Because they're New Yorkers.
They bitched online like that's what everybody does about everything. Just go to social media and complain about it. That was one. And then on the other coast in L.A., in addition to, the Dodgers, this is the team that sponsors the Sisters of Perpetual Indulgence. So, they're over the edge here. And baseball still has a huge cultural Marxist problem, as evidenced by what the Mets did, as evidenced by what the Dodgers did with their pride hats, and with the exception of Clayton Kershaw, their all-star pitcher, who had a biblical scripture, a verse citation on his hat. In protest of that, but they had a national anthem. They had a national anthem issue as well, and that was this baby Neza. She's a Latina artist apparently who sang the national anthem, and she did so in Spanish, despite actually being told that she couldn't. And then what did she do? She took to social media to explain why she did it and cry a little bit afterwards.
Bear with me because I'm still very shooken up and emotional, and I just got home from singing the national anthem in Spanish at the Dodgers game, and it is the official Star Spangled Banner in Spanish. You can Google it. I'll just read it to you really quick, but it was officially commissioned in 1945 by the U.S. State Department as a part of President Franklin Roosevelt's Good Neighbor policy to foster a better relationship with Latin America. Because of this, I didn't think I would be met with any sort of no, especially because we're in LA and with everything happening. And I've sang the national anthem many times in my life, but there was today out of all days, I could not. I'm sorry. Yeah, I just could not believe when she walked in and told me no. But I just felt like I needed to do it. Para mi gente.
For my
anyone
people.
Who's been following me for a while, everything I do is out of love, out of love, good energy out of love, and I'm proud of myself for doing that today. Because my parents are immigrants.
Yeah.
And they've been citizens my whole life at this point.
They did it the right way.
Really early, but I just can't imagine them being ripped away from me, even at this age. Let alone a little kid. What are we doing? Anyways, Sorry. This is a whole different side of me that y'all never see, but thank you for all the sweet messages. I love you guys so much. Safe to say I'm never allowed in that stadium ever again. But I love you guys so much. I love you guys.
I love you.
I love you too. So that's not true. You can come back as a woman pretending to be a man in a habit, and then you can perform with the Sisters of Perpetual Indulgence at Chavez Ravine. I'm sure they'll allow for that. But otherwise, yeah.
Did she talk to her parents? Because they came here legally and went through the process and became American citizens the right way.
They don't understand the difference. And they just sort of paper it over with the Selena Gomez performance there. You know, the crying for her people. I love the idea, like if you're a minor celebrity, which I'm assuming she is, I don't know, I've never heard of her. And you represent the entirety of people who share your ethnicity. My people.
The Latino community. You know what I would have
done? So indulgent.
I know. Well, they had a feeling she was going to do this. They warned her not to do it.
Yeah, she asked, she was told no, so they knew it was in her mind.
Yeah. You always have to be in control of the mic. Somebody hire an adult in the room. I would have cut her mic off and played a pre-recorded version of the Star Spangled Banner sung in English.
Yeah, like have throw on the old tape of Enrico Palazzo.
Or anything. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. You could also text us on that very same line. But it's so hypocritical, the message that she sent afterwards on TikTok, because her parents came here legally.
Yeah,
I know, but it's
I don't know.
Placating to a group.
Well,
she did it because it's anti-ICE and it's
unclear.
Cool thing to do right now.
It's unclear if it's ignorance or willful conflation. It could be either. I mean, this is somebody who doesn't know anything, and she's just emotional, and this is how we think through things and make decisions, because she's all about love, and so she just loves her way through life. Yeah, okay. She's a child. She's a child, and there's a lot of grown-up children running around who don't know anything and really have no capacity. I mean, none.
Or they don't have the patience to learn?
No capacity to critically think. They don't listen. They don't think. They don't consume information. They feel. And usually they feel in the direction of what somebody else they follow on TikTok says they feel. Social contagion. Ignorance is a social contagion. So that's what we have there. And also, too, by the way, I mean, baseball, as I said, Rob Manfred still deserves to be held in about the same esteem as Roger Goodell, which is to say none. Baseball is still a mess. They've tamped it down just like football has, but they are still inclined in the direction of cultural Marxism if they wouldn't be punished by not just their fans, because that's fleeting, but if they wouldn't be held out for public shaming by, say, a President Trump. That's the difference. Trump is the difference maker on this stuff, on the cultural stuff. Absolute difference maker, because he follows pop culture.
Yep.
And he will see
pop culture.
And he'll see something like that waving of the pride flag during the national anthem in New York, or this singing the national anthem in Spanish in LA to protest ICE or something, and he'll comment on it. And that brings the kind of heat that the Dodgers and the Mets and Major League Baseball don't want. I mean, you're seeing it in other things. You're seeing it, and we'll get to this later, but you're seeing it in corporate America walking back from their Greta Thunberg-like climate goals. City groups, we're not going to debank people anymore. We're not going to debank people that are lawful federal firearm license holders that are engaged in the lawful business of the manufacture and sale of weapons. Why do you think that is? The reversal and so many DEI policies, so much of Fortune 1000 America. Trump is impactful on these cultural issues, and these weak sisters in corporate America, and basically professional sports is corporate America too. They know it. I mean, it's such a classic case. It's something that Trump understands that it's unfortunate more conservatives don't. The bad news about like corporate America, the C-suite set, for example, is they're cowards. And the good news is they're cowards. Just like the legislators in Springfield. Bad news is they're cowards. Good news is they're cowards. If you have leadership, you can move them. And Trump is moving them. That's the good news. Oh, speaking of which, all the way down to women's fencing. You don't think he's having an impact? Remember women's fencing? We were treated to really a remarkable exchange based on remarkable commentary from this head of USA Fencing at a congressional hearing. This was our friend Brandon Gill from Texas.
Love him.
Interrogating USA Fencing boss Damian Lefelt. This is how that went. Listen to some of the things this head of USA Fencing was saying.
Do you think that parents who don't want their daughters competing against men in women's sports are whiny?
No, sir.
You don't? Why did you write that on social media? I've got a picture here where you posted that. You were allegedly responding to a parent who didn't want their daughter being beaten up by men in sports competitions. You said, I'm not going to pull her from the sport and write a whiny email announcing my departure.
Sir, Mr. Congressman Jack had asked me about that, and want to be crystal clear, that was an inappropriate message.
Do you think that they're cowardly?
Sir, no, I don't. I don't at all. And in fact...
Why did you write that on social media?
I regret it, sir. I deleted it shortly after posting it.
It was an endless series of these. Do you believe this? No. Well, then why did you write it? Oh, I regret that. And then I regret this, and I regret that. Well,
a lot of regrets.
They also regret some of their controversial policies, like they had categorized states based on their pro or anti, in their mind, LGBTQIA2S plus laws, and they were going to prioritize pro LGBTQIA2S plus states for their events. Now they intend to give equal consideration to all 50 states. They also announced the women's category for fencing will be open exclusively to athletes of the female sex after they had punished Stephanie Turner for protesting having to fence against a man a few months back.
Yeah, she took a knee and he tried to convince her to get up and fight. And she's like, no, I'm not fighting you.
Yeah. Well, now they're in full reversal. Gee, why do you think that is? This is where providing cultural leadership has impact. And honestly, you can thank Trump for it mainly. Not exclusively, because there are a lot of people, at lower levels in media and even the sports themselves that have provided great leadership. Think of, Riley Gaines and others, and detransitioners like Chloe Cole, just in terms of bringing some balance to this whole discussion that you would never get from the legacy media or any other institution controlled by the neo-Marxists. But Trump is the difference maker here because he's been willing to wade in. A lesson to cowardly conservatives and Republicans on these issues who think that you can just talk about marginal tax rates and be a majority party. Chuck in Delavan. A rare weekday call from Chuck.
Hey, how you doing? Thanks for taking my call. I want to call this girl a racist. I'm being serious now, not trying to be funny. Back in the 90s, I worked for a black minority company, and they had the very first time at 95th and Stony Island that they allowed a black minority company to build a Julasco. And Alderman Beavers was there, Dick Daley was there, Jesse Jackson was there. They had all kinds of bands and stuff there. And I'm standing there, and it was the first time that I ever heard the Black National Anthem. And I didn't even know that there was one that existed. Yeah. And I call this girl out to be a racist for not singing that one, too. If you're going to sing them and sing them all, she should have sung all of them. So anyway, I'm just calling her out as a racist. Thank you.
Thanks for the call, Chuck. Speaking of racism, there was this apparent. I don't follow the WNBA, but there's another dust-up involving Caitlin Clark. When Brittany Griner filed out of a game against the Indiana Fever last month.
Yeah, she called her a blank white girl.
Well, there was lip reading. There was no audio, but
you don't have to be an expert to read those lips.
She allegedly called Caitlin Clark trash effing white girl.
Mm-hmm.
Well, a Outkick reporter finally caught up with her, and
yeah, because no one would ask her what she said in the post-game interview, because they're all cowards and they're afraid of her.
Outkick reporter, not afraid of her, finally caught up with her to ask her if she said what she appeared to say, and this is what Brittany Griner had to say.
You said you didn't remember what you said during that viral moment after you fouled out against the Indiana Fever. A lot of people believe what you said was effing white girl or effing white girls. Is it possible that's what you said?
No, would never say that. Like, there's no place for that in our league. Wouldn't say that.
So even though you can't remember, you know that was not what you said?
I know it wasn't that because I wouldn't use that type of language.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And then Brittany Griner went on to add... Exactly what I was looking for, but she does have a voice that is deeper than Barry White's.
Oh, yeah. You'll never find. Have you seen her or him or whatever? I'm sorry. Brittany Griner at the pool with wearing men's swim trunks?
I've seen the alleged pictures of those. I don't know if those are real or not, but I've seen the alleged pictures. But, I mean, listen to this voice again.
You said you didn't remember what you said during that viral moment after you fouled out against the Indiana Fever. A lot of people believe what you said was effing white girl or effing white girls. Is it possible that's what you said?
No, would never say that. Like, there's no place for that in our league. Wouldn't say that.
So even though you can't remember, you know that was not what you said?
I know it wasn't that because I wouldn't use that type of language.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
That's the timbre of a girl's voice. Yeah.
As long as
I don't know. Do they do testosterone checks on WNBA players?
Do you see their baby birth announcement picture? She and her partner.
Was she on a swing like P-Bud and Chasen?
No, but she had the shirt off again, looking very masculine with man pants on, doing the reach around on his ladies.
Doing the reach around. Jeez.
It's like a hot, steaming cup of information to start your day. It's Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
At Signature Bank, going the distance for business banking customers is what we do every day. We understand that business owners have a strategic mission, a drive to succeed, a plan for growth, and don't have time to wait for a bank to respond. With Signature Bank, you not only have a banking partner that has roots right here in Chicago, but our decisions are made locally too. Signature Bank knows that when you have a question or problem about your business, you want answers. You need someone who will pick up the phone or respond to your text. You need someone who is always there for you. That's Signature Bank. We are a team that wants to get to know you and your business. Want to be Signature Bank's next success story? Give us a call today at 773-467-5630 or visit us online at signaturebank.bank. Member FDIC Equal Housing Lender.
AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning. That sound means it's time for In-Depth History with Frank, the history teacher from Arlington Heights, because there's nothing new in this world, just the history you don't know, and Frank does. Frank, take it away.
Good morning. Well, watch out for that first step. It's a doozy. So said Ned Ryerson to Phil Connors, played by Bill Murray in Groundhog Day, which of course was filmed in Woodstock, Illinois. Interestingly, Woodstock a few years ago commemorated a different, less eternal stay by labor leader Eugene Debs as he served a 6-month jail sentence there for contempt after the 1894 Pullman strike in Chicago. Specifically, Debs violated a court injunction against his further compelling or inducing strikers to disrupt rail traffic. Yet afterwards, he gave a speech to strikers in Blue Island, Illinois, after which a U.S. mail car was overturned. President Cleveland then sent in federal troops to restore order, which in turn led to a series of melees with the strikers. Now, at this point, progressive Illinois Governor John Peter Altgeld, who had already used state militia at Decatur, Danville, and Mount Olive, was against this federal intervention, but decried the court's role in it, calling it, quote, government by injunction. Under this new order of things, a federal judge becomes at once a legislator, court, and executioner, end quote. Now, don't tell Gavin Newsom, but maybe Altgeld had a point, as he wasn't really against Hamilton's Federalist 16, which argued the federal government could enforce its laws within the states, or the 1824 Gibbons versus Ogden decision, which affirmed federal supremacy on interstate commerce. No, he was arguing that courts shouldn't have this much power. It's clear from precedent, statute, and the Constitution that President Trump has the authority for his actions on immigration. Maybe though his administration can refer to the opinions of one of the original progressives to counter the arguments of these postmodern ones.
Ooh, very good, Frank. And by the way, you got a little Frank Caliendo in you, Frank from Arlington Heights.
Very
wow, hey,
theatrical.
boy, I didn't know that.
We didn't know you were a thespian.
Yeah, you caught the bug. Acting. Yes.
Well, you know all my imitations from before, and I've tamped that down a bit doing this, but I still got it in me.
All right, very good. I love it. Very good commentary. I'll post that on X so everyone can enjoy it. Frank from Arlington Heights, his in-depth history. Coming up at 7:07, we'll talk money and markets with Scott the Cow Guy.
Today it's going to be hot and humid. Thunderstorm in the afternoon, a high near 90 degrees. And then tomorrow, it's our golf outing. Ooh. Cloudy, heavy thunderstorms, not as warm. It'll be humid in the morning, then breezy. And they're saying that there's a possible chance of a tornado. Again, a high of 78 degrees. It is now 7 a.m. WIND Chicago.
He's back at the White House a day early. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. President Trump returned before dawn after leaving the G7 summit in Canada to deal with the Iran-Israel conflict, telling reporters on Air Force One it is not to work out a ceasefire like French President Macron says.
I didn't say I was looking for a ceasefire. That was Emmanuel, nice guy, but he doesn't get it right too often. But we're not looking. We're looking for better than a ceasefire.
Now, the president posted on Truth Social, if Iran wants peace talks, they know how to reach him, adding they should have taken the deal on the table. The president also repeated that Iran can't have a nuclear weapon, urging everyone in Tehran to evacuate immediately as Israel keeps attacking. That's the moment Iran state TV was bombed, and while that reporter ran off the set,
one woman was killed by that airstrike. Israel did send warnings into the area surrounding the state TV building, telling people to evacuate the area. State TV did get back on the air from a remote location.
Another attack killed Iran's top military commander, who had just replaced the last one Israel killed 4 days ago. Fox's Mike Tobin in Tel Aviv also reports.
The ballistic missile attacks continue, but to quote an Israeli military official who just spoke a short time ago, the attacks have not been as impactful, and we certainly haven't seen the same kind of numbers. There were a number of false alarms last night. This morning, a missile attack did materialize, but as opposed to the hundreds of missiles and drones that we've seen incoming before, there were about 20. 4 missiles did get through.
But no casualties were reported. Prior attacks have killed 24 Israelis. Russia bombarded Ukraine overnight with hundreds of drones and missiles, killing at least 15 people, most of them in the capital, Kyiv. California's attempt to end President Trump's deployment of National Guard troops to Los Angeles gets a hearing in an appeals court today. That court temporarily blocked a judge's order to undo the deployment, saying the president exceeded his authority, using the troops to deal with destructive protests. America's listening to Fox News.
Good morning. It's 72 degrees in Chicago in the AM 560, The Answer newsroom. I'm Nikki Whaley. Governor Pritzker is praising Illinois leaders for passing a balanced budget for the 7th year in a row. The governor took a shot at the Trump administration as he signed the fiscal 2026 Illinois budget yesterday.
While the Trump administration goes on Fox News lying about being fiscally responsible, Illinois is showing a better way, balancing the budget while maintaining the programs that most people rely on.
The $55 billion spending plan includes spending cuts and hundreds of millions of dollars in tax increases on tobacco products, vaping, and online sports books. Pritzker says this year's budget doubles down on their strong fiscal discipline and responsible governance without raising taxes for working families, despite the chaos created by the Trump administration. Outgoing Chicago Public Schools CEO Pedro Martinez is proud of what the district has accomplished since he took over as leader. Speaking yesterday at the City Club of Chicago, Martinez says if the district continues in the same direction, that there's no limit to what the children can do. He says it's been a privilege to serve as CEO and that there's nothing more important to him than the success of the children. His comments come just days before his last days as the school's chief. Martinez was fired in December following clashes with Mayor Johnson and the Chicago Teachers Union over district finances and taking out a high-interest loan. News is a service of almostfreeteeth.com. Have you been getting high quotes for dental implants? With medical PPO insurance, it's possible to save 90% off on average. See if you qualify today at almostfreeteeth.com, making smiles great again. A check of the roads coming up in 2 minutes on AM 560 The Answer.
Mike Gallagher is witnessing evil.
A guy from Egypt screaming Free Palestine named Mohammed, lighting Jews on fire in Boulder, Colorado, and CNN is upset at calling what appears to be an obvious terror attack a terror attack. My gosh, this is what we're up against. We're up against a brand of evil that we've never seen before.
The Mike Gallagher Show, weekdays at 9, right before Charlie Kirk at 11 on AM 560. The Answer.
Guys, looking for a Father's Day gift that will give Dad the extra boost of health and energy he needs to live his best life? Synergen X and Low T Center are offering free weight loss consultations and free T-tests as a special offer celebrating dads. Treatment is personalized to you and most major insurance is accepted. With the freedom to choose in-center care or at-home treatment, you're helping put Dad back in control of his health. From now until June 21st, enjoy a free B12 shot when you stop in for TRT and weight loss. Offer is limited, so book now at fixmylowt.com.
I'm Ed Evans, CEO of Consumer Cellular. No, we're not one of the big guys. Truth is, we don't want to be. If you're over 50, Big Wireless probably has you paying for more data than you might need. You could be throwing away thousands over a lifetime. We're not here to be the biggest. We're here to bring you something we believe is better. Our plans start at just $20. You'll get the same fast nationwide coverage without the big wireless bill.
Call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com/facts. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing. See site for additional facts.
Life insurance. Why are you putting it off? Can't afford it? Too much hassle? Think you don't need it? There's lots of excuses for putting off life insurance. But if you weren't there, who would pay the mortgage and other bills? With Ethos, you could be covered in 10 minutes and boom, family protected. Ethos, fast and easy online term life insurance. Up to $2 million in coverage with no medical exam. Some policies as low as $1 a day. Answer a few health questions and get your free quote at ethos.com/policy. That's ethos.com/policy.
Is it time to get your children and grandchildren out of the godless government schools? You cannot allow your loved ones to be forcibly subjected to ungodly psychological examinations and perverse sexual teachings. You would not send your child to a school that teaches 2 + 2 is 5. What is being taught today is far worse and damaging to minds and hearts. We can help through our on-campus Christian school and homeschool program. For over 55 years, Christian Liberty has operated a Christian school now located in Arlington Heights, and we have served hundreds of thousands of families across our nation and foreign countries through our homeschool program, Christian Liberty Homeschools. Visit ChristianLiberty.com to learn more or to schedule a tour of our excellent 12-acre facility in Arlington Heights and learn about our educational programs. Take action today. Visit ChristianLiberty.com. Experience the best in our on-campus Christian school and homeschool program and get more information at ChristianLiberty.com.
From the Team Hochberg Traffic Center, I'm Nikki Whaley. On the Edens inbound from Lake Cook to Montrose, 16 minutes. Outbound, about 14 minutes. On the Kennedy inbound from Montrose to the Burn Interchange, 28 minutes. Outbound, 51 minutes. On the Eisenhower inbound from Wolf to the Old Post Office, 31 minutes. Outbound, 27 minutes. On the Stevenson, inbound from the Tri-State to Lakeshore Drive, 26 minutes. Outbound, 25 minutes. On the Dan Ryan, inbound from 95th to the Burn Interchange, 18 minutes. Traffic is a service of Goldilocks, offering Chicagoland state-of-the-art smart security systems to protect your home or business. AM 560 listeners receive 3 months of monitoring free with new installs. Get peace of mind by calling Goldilocks at 708-889-5600. Again, that's 708-889-5600. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next, but now check your forecast from the National Weather Service.
Clouds and sun, thunderstorm late this afternoon, the high at 90. Shower and thunderstorm tonight. Low tonight 69. Heavy thunderstorm tomorrow. That could spark an isolated tornado, the high near 80. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560. The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com.
This hourly segment is brought to you by The Real Story with Jeannie Ives, powered by Breakthrough Ideas, Sunday evening at 7 on AM 560 The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560 The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. So we're not going to target farm workers who are in this country illegally and hotel workers who are in this country illegally, or we are, or we're not.
We were.
First we were, then we weren't. Oh, well, I mean, not presently, but they were fair game. And then they weren't, and now they are again.
Well, here's Trump last week.
You go into a farm and you look, and people they've been there for 20, 25 years, and they've worked great, and the owner of the farm loves them and everything else, and then you're supposed to throw them out, and you know what happens? They end up hiring the criminals that have come in. So we're going to have an order on that pretty soon, I think. We can't do that to our farmers, and leisure too, hotels.
But now he's walked that back.
Right, because you can't choose one profession over the other when it comes to putting America first and getting out illegals who have committed crimes.
Well, you can actually, but you have to do it and you can do it in a way that makes sense based on America's needs. That is America first to me too. But I think you have to do a formal guest worker program and not just sort of turn a blind eye to immigration law. I think the equal application of the law is the first principle. And then if you want to modify the law to offer considerations for labor needs in particular sectors, then you do it that way. And maybe that's the nature of the discussion. The other piece of this is, well, you know, all those jobs that allegedly Americans don't want to do, it turns out maybe it's a little bit more complicated than the laptop set in North Shore coffee houses thinks. For example, the story out of Omaha where the feds used E-Verify to track down more than 100 illegal aliens using fake IDs and then had box cutters pulled on them. ICE agents had box cutters pulled on them by some of those illegal immigrants working at this food processor, this meat packer in Omaha. It took 100 into custody and, began removal proceedings. So how is Nebraska going to recover? How is this company, Glen Valley Foods, going to stay in business? And this is going to hurt the local economy and so on and so forth. Well, NBC News in quotations. Omaha is trying to forge ahead following the raid's chilling effect on the local workforce and the community at large. And yet then you read the story. Every seat in the waiting area of Glen Valley Foods was occupied with people filling out job applications early Thursday afternoon. 2 days. 2 days after the meatpacking plant became the center of the largest worksite immigration raid in the state of Nebraska so far this year.
People knew there were openings, American citizens, and they went and filled out applications.
So maybe it's a little bit more complicated than the Glencoe art history major thinks when it comes to the job markets, the job markets, as well as the jobs she thinks Americans may or may not want to do. Yeah. By the way, this is a position that was once held, not that he was serious about it, but he held it nonetheless, by this right-wing radical. You may remember him. He came out of Hyde Park as a community organizer. This is him in 2008 on a debate stage in the primary for the presidential nomination, talking about border security and E-Verify. 2008.
Undocumented workers come over the borders since George Bush took office. It has become an extraordinary problem. And the reason the American people are concerned is because they are seeing their own economic position slip away. And oftentimes, employers are exploiting these undocumented workers. They're not paying the minimum wage. They're not observing worker safety laws. As president, I will make sure that we finally have the kind of border security that we need. That's step number one. Step number two is to take on employers. Right now, an employer has more of a chance of getting hit by lightning than be prosecuted for hiring an undocumented worker. That has to change. They have to be held accountable. Start shedding some light on the problem, and we can once again be a nation of laws and a nation of immigrants. That's what I intend to do as president of the United States.
Oh boy, that Barack Obama wouldn't be welcome in his party today. Not if he was not that he runs his mouth with that rap today. Of course, he moves with the wind just like Joe Biden did. He's a company man. He's a flim-flammer, front man for the new Marxists. He was then too. But that's where the party felt they needed to be, to the right of George W. Bush, at least perception-wise, when it came to border security. So maybe we can use, much like our friend Frank from Arlington Heights used John Altgeld to make the point about federal judges acting as legislators with their national veto over government policy through injunctions. This was Frank from Arlington Heights' in-depth history. We can use Barack Obama to make the same point to his party about their policies. It's always fun. For more on this and other matters of money and markets, please be joined by Scott the Cow Guy Shellady.
Yeah, let it rip.
A market specialist for Market Day Report 10:30 to 1 and host of the Cow Guy Close 1 to 1:30, both at RFD TV. Scott the Cow Guy, thanks for joining us.
Good morning. Thanks for having me on.
You come from a dairy farmer background.
Yes.
Could you tell by the coats? No, I don't.
I could tell by his
world.
I could tell by his nickname is the Cow Guy. That's how I could tell.
I still have your jacket, by the way, that you gave me.
I got one of those too. Yeah, I don't have the bow tie. Though. Yeah.
Happy Halloween.
Right. So what about the back and forth on particular sectors, starting with farming, but maybe including hotel employees, service sector employees too. Trump sort of openly ruminating about some carve-outs based on America's workforce needs. What's your view?
I don't think there's anybody less or more illegal. It's all the same, and I think it's wrong for him to carve anything out. If he felt like that, I don't think he should have said anything. He should have just had a policy where he would go softly with hotels and farms, but he should not have made that a public statement. I think that's wrong. I think if you're illegal, whatever business you're in, you're illegal. It doesn't matter.
Well, but I mean, okay, but like what I was suggesting, you treat everybody here illegally as here illegally, and contrary, everybody legally as legal. But go on a go-forward basis, you say we've decided that we need a foreign guest worker program because we don't have enough people to support agribusiness in this country. And so you have a legal guest worker program. It wouldn't be the first time in American history by any stretch. What about something like that? I mean, do you see, I guess the larger question is about sort of the workforce need. Maybe there is, maybe there isn't, just like maybe there isn't the need for a guest worker program for the meatpacking industry that some people otherwise may have thought.
Well, I mean, obviously it hit home close to home with us because we did have a farm, but there is a program and there are work visas for that. If that needs to be expanded, go ahead and expand it. But there's already a solution sitting there. It just needs to be worked better. That's not that big of a deal to me, really. I mean, there are a lot of workers, seasonal workers that come across, and and do the jobs that they like doing, apparently. But when you bring up the Glencoe person versus the meatpacking, I don't think AI can take away her job faster because it's not going to take away the meatpacker jobs. So that was absolutely ridiculous, and I'm glad to see that the people stepped up and wanted to do those jobs. But I think that we have a solution there. They just need to work it better. I mean, there's a ton of H-1B2 visa, whatever it is.
Yeah, right.
We just need to make it a better program. But there's an answer. It's not that hard.
All right. On the impact of hostilities in the Middle East, the Israeli airstrikes on Iran nuclear sites, a lot of hand-wringing about the potential impact on the price of oil and the price of gas by extension. We're not seeing it yet, but what's your concern about ongoing unrest in the Middle East?
Well, that's a huge question, and I have to answer it for another network after this phone call. But I think the bottom line is this. I think the world was in a much worse place during the Cuban Missile Crisis. We haven't had anything like this in a long time. Everybody's got their knickers in a twist, obviously. And there are some very serious things happening. I'm not going to try to lessen that load. But I also do believe that this can be contained. The oil market will have a hiccup, but it won't be forever. If you go back over time to see what the markets have done, specifically oil and stocks, when we do have things like this happen, there's a 3-week problem and there's a 3-week recovery. But I'm right now, unless China and Russia get involved, I think the rhetoric is probably overblown. But that doesn't mean that can't happen down the road. But right now, as we speak, and I'm not even quite sure, honestly, what the real risk of Iran is. I really need to know more about that. I'm not an expert on Iran. But I also felt as though, well, no, I'm saying I've learned my lesson because I thought Iraq was supposed to be a big risk too, and that turned out to be a bunch of nothing. So I want to know a little bit more about Iran before we go off the rails here and really think that there is some sort of massive danger to humanity, because we were told that Iraq was a massive danger to humanity once before as well.
Yeah, it is a little bit different. We've got a little bit more of an evidentiary basis on Iran and a little bit more of a track record, and but I mean that's fair. I wanted to fold in now sort of the larger, since they had that G7 summit up in Alberta yesterday, and two-tier Keir Starmer and Trump signed a trade deal or another framework for a trade deal between the U.S. and the U.K. What's your handle on where the tariff negotiations and the trade framework agreements are at this stage, and what sort of impact they're having on American businesses?
American businesses and the American markets are banking on the rhetoric still right now. There hasn't really been anything. The rubber really hasn't met the road yet, Dan and Amy. We haven't. I think the market's slowly but surely going to grow increasingly more uncomfortable with the fact that when we still have all these people lined up to do deals, we still have all these people lined up to do deals. Well, we need to see some. We need to see some hard evidence. Now, we are with a trade surplus with Great Britain, so that's not really that's not going to make the folks look a lot better, right?
Yeah.
No. So, I mean, there needs to be some critical ones, and obviously that would be China and Europe. Until that happens, I mean, that can be very good for the market. That could be very good for American business. But we have to see that done. Now, I get it. These things are multiple pages long, and it's not that easy to do overnight. But how long can you keep going on the checks in the mail,
Right. I mean, it's one thing to you get the feel good, like the announcement last week that Trump saying he and she have a deal that just needs to be ratified. And that's great. So we're not going to see escalation. We're not going to see trade wars. That's the tone of what we're hearing from the administration. But businesses in the real world and markets that represent business activity in the real world need to see the numbers, right?
Right. I used to run a technology company, and we'd send out the salespeople to speak to some big potential customers. And when they come back, I do get a debriefing, right? And every time they would always say the same thing. We had a great meeting. Okay, well, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to pay you with a great meeting, okay? That's what we're going to do. Let's go downstairs to the bar and have a beer and pay with a great meeting. All right? It means jack to me. I need to see some money.
Yeah.
And I think that's surely America's waking up to that.
Yeah, okay. All right. But you're still generally optimistic, if nothing else, based on the rhetoric and the movement, even if the movement is just rhetorical.
Yeah, I mean, I'm still 75, 80%, positive. I probably was more before, but it gets a little long in the tooth. I know they take time, and this Great Britain one is really kind of like kissing your sister. But we got to move ahead. We need to see some real ones, like I think Europe and China, with what the market's really waiting for.
Right.
Do you think with the turmoil going on in Iran and Israel that the barrel oil prices are going to go to $150 a barrel? That's what I keep reading.
No, I mean, overnight on Sunday night, the Twitter sphere was alight with people, saying it's going to go up to 100. But I have a feeling that they were all long oil already, so that didn't work out. That didn't work out for them. And I think that the world's a little bit of a different place today. There'll be obviously some price spikes here and there, but I don't think that's going to happen. That would be probably the most inflationary thing that could happen to us right now, if possible. Right now, we're $1.50 better, which was basically taking back yesterday's losses, but still only around $71 a barrel. So right now, it's not too concerning. And if it was, the markets will tell you before the media will. Believe me.
I'm reading a lot about, like Bloomberg, and this is a piece lamenting this development. Big business is abandoning its climate goals. And then I read that Walmart, Nestle, Mondelez, and Mars are among some major companies that have recently left the U.S. Plastic Pact, according to Sustainability Magazine, which is a great read.
Oh, yeah, I want the copy back on my desk.
Falling short of the Plastic Pact's 2025 circular economy for plastics goals, they're withdrawing their participation to focus on more attainable sustainability initiatives and blah, 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 blah. So they're moving away from having Greta Thunberg be their energy policy advisor.
I don't know how these people can get away from that. It's plastics, man, plastics. I don't know if anybody remembers The Graduate, but
plastics.
That's what it sounds like to me. I mean, I didn't even know there was a council, so whatever. And I can't stand the word sustainability. When I hear sustainability, my ears turn off right away. Anyway.
Yeah, but I mean, corporate America reversing course on all of their ESG and DEI. I mean, that is something, and that is material, isn't it?
100%, and it should have happened. I mean, we were going down a wrong road, and DEI is garbage. A lot of this wind and solar is garbage. I mean, everybody's got the idea that they want to have clean air and clean water. I get it. We all do. But, you can't rely on some things. There's no way you can rely on wind and solar. We have to use coal and gas, and that's going to be something that's going to be with us. So that's how we got here. And that's why we're a rich country, and we're a rich country because of our energy. And rich countries have great schools and great hospitals because of that. If you want to abandon the horse that got you to this party, then I don't think you're very bright.
Yeah. Well, it's nice to see them, as I said, abandoning Greta Thunberg for Billy Bob Thornton. That's progress.
Scott, it is a step up, yes.
Scott the Cow Guy, Shelody Market Specialist, Market Day Report, 10:30 to 1. Host of the Cow Guy Close, 1 to 1:30, both at RFD TV. Scott the Cow Guy, thank you as always.
All right, see you guys. Thanks.
Thank you. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
Listen to podcasts of Dan and Amy from the AM 560 mobile app. Download it today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Hi, I'm Chuck McDowell, the timeshare cancellation guy and founder of Wesley Financial Group. And I want to set the record straight. I am not an attorney. I've never wanted to be an attorney. And the truth is, I really don't even like attorneys. If I sound like an attorney or if I look like an attorney, I'll apologize. But what I've learned in my 15 years in the timeshare cancellation business is you don't need to be an attorney to get folks out of their timeshare. At Wesley, we've helped over 40,000 families cancel their timeshare without me being an attorney. And I want to share with you how we do it. Just give my office a call, and you will not talk to an attorney. And I guarantee if we take you as a client, we'll get you out of your timeshare, or you'll pay nothing.
Call now for your free timeshare exit info kit. Call 800-979-1771. That's 800-979-1771. 800-979-1771.
Guys, spring is here. Summer's almost here. Time for gatherings with friends, family, and outdoor activities, but How are you going to keep up if low testosterone is draining your energy? The answer is TRT with Synergen X at Low T Center. They might seem convenient, but many online TRT services can be a hassle to get started. You end up spending hundreds of dollars and wasting time, so don't fall for it. Trust the experts at Synergen X and Low T Center. So I trust. They've been changing patients' lives for a combined 25 years. They understand what guys need, and they're in person, so it makes it easy to get started. You can start today, actually, with a free consultation and free testosterone test. Best thing about that, well, the free part, and they're fast. They have on-site labs to process your test quickly, and if you qualify, you can start treatment that day. They have locations across Chicagoland, and for guys looking to lose a few pounds, Synergen X and Low T Center make it easy with prescription weight loss medications. They do accept most major health insurance as well, so you have no excuse. The offer is limited, so go right now, post haste, toot sweet to fixmylowt.com to book your appointment. That's fixmylowt.com. You'll be glad you did.
Do you owe $10,000 or more in credit card debt or personal loans? With credit card debt at all-time highs, Debt Relief Advocates is urgently notifying consumers of debt relief now being made available, designed to aid consumers with out-of-control credit card debt. Those who qualify and enroll for this relief program will only have to pay back a fraction of what they owe. This is not bankruptcy or a debt consolidation loan. This is a relief program that credit card companies would rather you not know about, as it ends your debt nightmare and saves you lots of money. Consumers owing at least $10,000 in credit card debt or personal loans can now take advantage of this debt relief as the cost of living skyrockets. Debt Relief Advocates has established a relief hotline for you to call to learn what debt reduction you may qualify for. For this free information, call 800-422-1609, 800-422-1609, 800-422-1609, or simply visit godra.com.
Honey, we're not moving, but we gotta do something about this kitchen.
Funny you mention it. I just stopped by Forever Remodeling's new showroom in Niles. I saw over a dozen kitchen and bathroom layouts they designed. They even offered to stop by the house and give us a free in-home design consultation.
What'd you tell them?
That we're free today?
Visit foreverremodeling.com today. That's the number 4, everremodeling.com. Forever Remodeling, stress-free and high-quality remodeling.
We couldn't decide if we needed in-home care for Dad.
Right. Just some help here and there with bathing, organizing his meds, a walk through the neighborhood.
Oh, exactly. But everywhere we looked, we had a 4-hour minimum. It was more care than he needed. And it didn't make sense to spend extra for it.
Then we found Senior Helpers of Naperville Southwest. No minimum hours. We were shocked.
Now a caregiver stops by once or twice a week for just an hour or two to help with the small things that make a big difference.
And Mom loves the visits. It's not just help. It's companionship.
At Senior Helpers of Naperville Southwest, we understand that not every family needs round-the-clock care. We serve DuPage, Cook, Kane, Kendall, and Will counties. We conduct free in-home assessments and we guarantee compatibility. Call Senior Helpers of Naperville Southwest today at 331-281-0728. Again, that's 331-281-0728. And tell them AM 560 sent you. Senior Helpers of Naperville Southwest. Senior care. Only better.
Salem News Channel is America's fastest growing conservative TV network.
It's an absolute crazy day.
Home to the largest lineup of free speech champions anywhere. Delivering in-depth insight and unapologetic opinion on today's biggest news stories.
Americans aren't going to put up with this anymore.
SNC brings you the news that matters, told with integrity and clarity. Watch Salem News Channel free 24/7 on your television. Stream now on Xumo Play.
Hi, I'm Ken Mariotti, owner of Woodland Windows and Doors, a third-generation family-owned business since 1969. We know you're bombarded by choices when shopping for new windows or doors, so we're inviting you to experience the Woodland difference. For decades, we have been transforming living spaces with Marvin Windows, a fifth-generation family business. Marvin replacement windows have been known to increase the warmth of your cold rooms by 10 degrees. Think about that, 10 degrees warmer. When you welcome Woodland into your home, you will get a product expert to transform your living spaces full-time, dedicated professional installers that you can trust in your home, along with the best products like Marvin. These are the reasons we're proud of our 5-star reviews and family legacy. No gimmicks, no pressure, and upfront pricing are why Woodland Windows and Doors is your trusted window and door expert in Chicagoland. Visit woodlandwindows.com to book your free in-home expert consultation. That's woodlandwindows.com, or stop by our showroom at the corner of Lake and Geary in Roselle.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right. Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
I'm a little unclear on what school district Pedro Martinez was talking about, because I thought he was the head of CPS, but the school district he was talking about at the City Club yesterday bears no resemblance to the actual Chicago public school system. But we're used to that sort of propagandizing from these politicians, including those who pretend to be educators. The perfect backdrop of Pedro Martinez's silliness was a story by ProPublica talking about the empty CPS schools. We'll discuss it with Ted Dabrowski at 7:37.
And he said something else yesterday that made me scratch my head. We'll explain. But now let's head into the newsroom. Here is Nikki Whaley.
Good morning. It's 72 degrees in Chicago in the AM 560 The Answer newsroom. I'm Nikki Whaley. Federal prosecutors are filing murder and stalking charges against the suspect accused of killing a Minnesota state lawmaker and her husband over the weekend.
That means Vance Bolter could face the death penalty if convicted. He's also charged with shooting and wounding Democratic State Senator John Hoffman and his wife. Minnesota Acting U.S. Attorney Joseph Thompson says Bolter visited the homes of 2 other lawmakers earlier with the intention of harming them, but one was not home and he was scared off by police at the home of the other. Over 45 state and federal officials were listed in Bolter's notebook as potential targets. I'm Tammy Trujillo.
Army doesn't feel that Saturday's military parade did very much damage to D.C. streets. An Army spokesperson says that assessments following the parade are not showing any serious damage to parade routes or the staging area. The National Park Service and the Federal Highway Administration will test the streets for underground damage over the next few weeks. News is a service of Low T Center. Guys, in celebration of Father's Day, Center Gen X and Low T Center are offering free tests and weight loss consultations for a limited time only. Book your free consultation and T-test from now until June 21st and get a free B12 shot for an extra boost of energy. Give dad or yourself the gift of a new start this Father's Day. Book now at fixmylowt.com, fixmylowt.com. A check of the roads coming up in 2 minutes on AM 560 The Answer.
Mike Gallagher sees the blame game again.
I mean, in California, every California crisis is blamed on Trump. The wildfires, Trump's fault. The empty, water reservoirs, Trump's fault. Budget deficit, his fault. And now the riots in L.A., his fault. What does Gavin Newsom take responsibility for?
The Mike Gallagher Show. Weekdays at 9, right before Charlie Kirk at 11 on AM 560. The Answer.
It's Reveille. We live in a dangerous and revolutionary time as Israel attacks Iran to prevent the Death to America regime from producing a nuclear weapon, as many Iranians hope that the Israeli attacks bring regime change from a dictatorship, and as America celebrated both Flag Day and the 250th birthday of the United States Army, a swath of Americans chose to instead organize, promote, and attend No King's Day protests aligned with organizations funded by the CCP. They ignored on that day that the true tyrants live in places like Gaza, run by Hamas, China with its slave labor, and Iran with its radical Islamist leaders. They ignored, of course, that America hasn't been led by a king since the American Army's founding in 1775, and that it was created to actually remove King George from our land. At the military parade, our service members proudly flew our flag and celebrated our army that freed us from that kingship. At the No Kings March, protesters raised flags of foreign countries that illegal aliens fled and don't want to go back to, countries where lawlessness reigns, women and children are second-class citizens, poverty is the norm, and opportunity non-existent. They wanted a day of defiance. Patriots wanted a day of honor and respect. They came out in anger and protest with ugly signs and grim chants. We paraded with the stars and stripes and God Bless the USA blasting from the speakers. A day Americans set aside to celebrate our symbol of freedom while our servicemen and women stand ready across the world to defend our flag and our Constitution, they used to support lawlessness, open borders, and pro-Hamas terrorist organizations. There's a contrast in America, but their angry and ugly mobs won't win. Like our forefathers did, we won't give in and we'll never give up. We will not squander the good life we were given. We'll fight at the ballot box so our children and grandchildren will enjoy the blessings of liberty. I'm Jeannie Ives. Join me on Sunday from 7 to 9 p.m. on this station and sign up for my newsletter at breakthrough-ideas.com.
The following advertisement includes a celebrity impersonation.
The summer heat in Chicagoland is no joke. And if your old air conditioner is making funny noises, you may already know it's time for a new unit.
Look, your air conditioner, it's a disaster. People are telling me it's the worst ever.
Don't sweat it, literally. When it comes to cooling your home, Air Right Heating and Cooling does it the best.
And they love our country. Beautiful people.
Rebates are still available, financing is flexible, and at Air Right installations are smooth and professional with no surprises.
It's beautiful. Some people say it's the coolest air anyone's ever felt. I don't know. That's just what they're saying. It's doing an incredible job. Really tremendous.
Plus, tell them AM 560 sent you, and Air Right will give you $56 off any service. Visit Air Right Heating and Cooling today at AIR-RITE.com. Again, that's AIR-RITE.com. Air Right Heating and Cooling, doing it right since 1959.
Stop feeling embarrassed about thinning hair and start looking and feeling your best with Hair Grow by New Nordic. Available online at Amazon, Walmart.com, and NewNordicUSA.com, or at your local CVS.
From the Team Hogberg Traffic Center, I'm Nikki Whaley. On the Edens inbound from Lake Cook to Montrose, 17 minutes, outbound 14 minutes. On the Kennedy inbound from Montrose to the Burn Interchange, 36 minutes, outbound about 50 minutes. On the Eisenhower inbound from Wolf to the Old Post Office, 33 minutes, outbound 26 minutes. On the Stevenson inbound from the Tri-State to Lakeshore Drive, 31 minutes, outbound about 20 minutes. On the Dan Ryan inbound from 95th to the Burn Interchange, 20 minutes, outbound 11 minutes. This report is sponsored by Indeed.com. When you're trying to find quality candidates, all the searching and screening and interviewing can become a job itself. You need Indeed, the all-in-one platform that makes it easy to interview, screen, and hire quality people. Visit Indeed.com/credit. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next, but now check your forecast from the National Weather Service.
Hot day today, clouds and sun. Thunderstorm in spots late this afternoon, the high 90. A shower and thunderstorm forward this evening, low 69. Heavy thunderstorms tomorrow could spark an isolated tornado, the high near 80. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Forever Remodeling. Stress-free and high-quality remodeling. View their stunning transformations online at the number 4everremodeling.com.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios.
Insert Democrat socialist here.
Runs the Democratic House floor for 30 plus years running. He's promising this and he's stealing that. Where can you get that kind of money? He's using your house like his own piggy bank. You ought to know by now. You can pay off your house here in Illinois, but you can never keep up with the taxes. Oh, how it's always been the plan to have a taxpayer pay, no doubt. Not a matter of if anymore, but when you're moving out. I said, when you're moving out.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Did ProPublica plagiarize wire points? ProPublica, state-run media, coming up with this expose on CPS. And before we get to their findings, which are redundant to the investigative work that Ted Dabrowski and the wirepoints.org folks have done for years, frankly. This just in, breaking news from ProPublica. Here was Pedro Martinez, he of the split finger fastball, and former CPS superintendent.
Desperate housewife, I call him.
At City Club yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
Not only are students graduating, they're better prepared than ever. Our metrics are at record levels. And by the way, our college persistence rate, so over 70%, 73% of our children persist in college.
Let me tell you something. It's not funny. It's just funny to listen decade after decade to this same bilge from politicians and politicians pretending to be educators like this guy. CPS is on the upswing. Not only are they not graduating, they're not even there. Dwindling enrollment has left 150 Chicago schools half empty, while 47 operate at less than one-third capacity. At one 28-student school, the cost is $93,000 per kid. That's how much we spend per year.
Oh my gosh.
Because we have
what?
We have to have this Potemkin system where we keep up the buildings because you have to have all the support services and personnel, and everybody keeps their phony baloney jobs. Right. And they go through chapter and verse with basically telling in narrative form the stuff you would already know if you listened to this show because of Ted Dabrowski and the WirePoint's folks' research on the topic. They've all put it in handy-dandy tables for you to look at. 100 students in a school meant for 1,000 inside Chicago's refusal to deal with its nearly empty schools. Something that pro-school choice conservative reformers have been saying for a decade.
Yeah.
Always the last to know, the state-run media.
They're finally catching on, huh?
No, this is pretending to be real media.
Oh.
That's what this is. Pretending to be real media so they have a report to point to. Yeah, we're on that.
Just go visit the schools. You'll see.
Ted, President of WirePoints.org, all things Illinois policy related. Thanks for joining us, Ted. Appreciate it.
Good morning, Dan. Good morning, Amy.
Blockbuster report out of ProPublica. Yep. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, like you say, this is performative. They've got to cover it at some point because it becomes too obvious. And so, like Amy said, the good news is they cover it. The bad news is that they'll botch it and say we need more money and stuff like that. And then at the same time, the very next report will report what Martinez just said, that kids are graduating at record levels and things are great. So it's
73% are persistently in college.
Persistent, it's like
what does that mean? Well, I know that after my kids graduated, I got phone calls saying, "Are your kids still in school, or did they drop out of college?"
Well, did you say that they're persistent?
They're persistently in school and seeking a 4-year degree. I just found that bizarre.
What about I guess my follow up to Pedro, if I had been at the City Club, but would be so let me understand. What about the 80% of kids who are persistently not reading or doing math at grade level in CPS? Can I reconcile those numbers for me?
Yeah, and that's the sad part. And it's what they all do together, and it's pretty coordinated. It's Pritzker and Johnson and Martinez. They'll never tell you the truth. They will never talk about. And I'm looking at the school I love to look at is where Pedro Martinez actually went. He's an alumni of Juarez Community Academy in Pilsen. I can't remember what year he graduated, but that's the school he should be championing if that's his alma mater. And I'm looking at the results right here in front of me for last year. 8% of Hispanic kids read at grade level there, and just 4% do math, and yet 82% graduated. Now you're talking about a place where he could actually go in there and have great leadership and change things. It sounds to me like he never went there and didn't care when you look at those results.
Yeah, 83% graduated. Everything's great.
Well, I've watched teachers fudge numbers before, close up, saying, well, we have to pass them because we were told to pass them. It was a PE teacher at Allman Brothers. And he's like, they never even showed up, but I was just told that I have to pass them in order for them to graduate. So that's what I'm doing, which is sad. But the sad thing also that Pedro Martinez said yesterday that just made me shake my head was he actually said, and he actually thought that when he came here to Chicago to be the superintendent, that he would stay here forever and end his career here. Now, that has never happened ever. A superintendent has never lasted more than 3 or 4 years ever.
His career should have ended here. Every superintendent's career should have ended in education right here.
Yeah.
Based on what the actual performance. Yeah, right.
If you'd only spent the $300 million, if you allowed that bond issue, maybe he'd still have a job.
Right.
So he just didn't. He didn't.
He gave them everything they wanted. He was like a lapdog for the CTU. He looks like a fool. And then at the end, though, he wouldn't go with that $300 million. So where are they going to get that from? With this new temporary CPS CEO?
Yeah, I'm so flabbergasted by these numbers. I pulled them up the table that Dan mentioned. Douglas High School, 28 kids enrolled when it's got capacity for 912 kids, $93,000 a student. There's one head count, one staff member for every student. So it should be the ideal school where you can do a one-on-one teaching, and 0% of the kids read a grade level there. So you can't make this up, and it's not our data. This comes straight from the state data and CPS data. So it's and the list goes on, right? We have a list of 20 schools that look something like that. Some not as bad, but it's a sad statement. But it's hidden by everybody, even if it's being published now.
It's just fraudulent. And I've been in these schools, and it's like an Uplift where they have, I think, 28 kids. And they're trying to put a football program together. I mean, it's just
it's going to be difficult.
Yeah.
You're going to have a lot of kids play both ways.
Just combine, right, yeah, but combine high schools.
Douglas High School, they need the class sizes need to be smaller. I mean, physically. Not we took some smaller class sizes. We're not talking about head count. Now we're talking just physically because there's basically one student per classroom. I mean, it's got to feel cabinet. It's got to feel like you're at the Overlook Hotel.
Well, what's interesting is in that school choice bill that Trump is trying to do at the federal level, it's been put in the Senate version as well. So
yeah,
it seems like it has legs. So you're talking about $5 billion across the country for 100% tax credit scholarships. So that might do a little bit of shaking up if it can get through Congress. It could do some shaking up of what's happening here in Chicago, maybe.
Yeah, you bet families better be queuing up because there's going to be a lot of competition nationally for those dollars, even though it's significant. $5 billion spends pretty quick across the 50 states. But you're right, that's huge, especially since we can't seem to provide any stewardship of our own resources here. I love this associated story too. Oh, man. Safe passage workers fear cuts as Chicago Public Schools work to close deficit. Yeah, we need these safe passage. We need somebody to escort the 28 kids to Douglas. The safe passage workers don't have anybody to passage.
Well, one thing I haven't looked at is attendance. I should have looked at that. 28 enrollment, but you look at the overall 40%
chronic absentee
tourism. Yeah, very chronic absentee. Yeah, so maybe it's like you say, maybe very few kids to help. I don't see why they just can't keep their jobs anyway, right? Just keep the safe passage for anybody who's walking by.
Exactly. I mean, just glorified crossing guards. We have those. Do we still have those people? I haven't seen them when I've been downtown. The people that mimic traffic signals, the traffic safety management aides.
You know what? I live by Wrigley. I haven't seen them this year. I mean, maybe I should concentrate more. But the safe passage people are gone in our hood. They're not needed anymore. Or there's not enough kids to get to Lakeview High School. I don't know.
Maybe we need a guest worker program for safe passage city employees. On the economic front, while Jelly Belly was in D.C. Pitching his wares, back at home, there has been, volatile environment always, but a number of companies announcing layoffs here in Illinois. Yaskawa is pulling up stakes from Waukegan and moving to Franklin, Wisconsin. 14 companies across the state, from Libertyville to Naperville to Momence in Kankakee County, will be furloughing workers. In Libertyville, 133 employees at 2 Bristol-Myers Squibb sites will be out of work beginning July 1. Cardinal Logistics got rid of 43 employees in Naperville. Momence Packaging, this is a big one, which makes the Johnsonville sausage products, scheduled to lay off 274 workers beginning August 1st. They're moving operations to Wisconsin and Kansas. So, by the way, Illinois has been a laggard when it comes to job creation, the percentage of increase in household incomes and wealth accumulation. And it looks like it's going to continue to be 2,100 jobs total.
Yeah, we published a piece. I think NBC5 did it on all those layoffs or workers losing their jobs, and it was very popular on our site. Sadly popular, but the one that I took away from this was this Japanese company. What was it called? The Yaskawa.
Yaskawa. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it's impressive because this is a place that's kind of dear to me. I spent some time in Waukegan on school reform stuff and school choice there, and you talk about a place that's got tough times and difficult situation, but huge potential because it's on the lakefront. It's got that Hispanic workforce, which is a very hardworking workforce. It's got cheap land, lots of property. It's near that Wisconsin border where all that stuff is happening right over the border, and in theory, if our leadership could take advantage of it, we'd make Waukegan a hub. But instead, this company that's in Waukegan is leaving. They're creating an 800,000 square foot campus in Franklin, Wisconsin. They're going to invest $180 million, 700 new high-paying jobs. It's robotics, industrial robots, motion control devices. You're talking about the great jobs, high pay, and it's leaving us, and it's just going right over the border where all that stuff is going on. This is just another indictment on the failure of Pritzker, since he took office. Not to mention, what happened before.
Well, maybe we can give another casino or something.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and then raise the casino gambling taxes.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of Pritzker, this was his exchange with Byron Donalds last week before the House Oversight Committee talking about budgets, and I thought of you because I know. You're a budgeteer. You're a budgeteer just like J.B. Pritzker is. So, I mean, you have a lot to discuss on this.
Thank you, Chairman. To piggyback off my colleague, Governor Pritzker, how much does the state of Illinois spend on illegal immigration every year?
Again, illegal immigration, that's a federal responsibility. They could tell how much is wasted as a result of their failures.
Governor, don't you keep track of how many people are on your Medicaid rolls, how many people who are illegal immigrants in the state of Illinois who are getting actually benefits in your state? Doesn't your government keep track of that?
They don't get Medicaid in Illinois or any state as far as I know.
Governor Pritzker, you do not keep track of any public service dollars in the state of Illinois that goes to illegal immigrants or goes to people in your state who are not legal residents of the United States and of the state of Illinois. You don't keep track of that.
We absolutely keep track of our budget, and we're very closely, and in fact, it's been balanced for 7 years in a row, unlike the Republican before me. Yeah.
It's interesting. Really? I noticed that in the state of Illinois, you guys don't really keep track of your money because I asked your mayor in Chicago similar question about a month ago, and he didn't have an answer. It was quite interesting. I think this might be an Illinois problem.
It's definitely an Illinois problem, Ted.
Yeah, well, he knows the numbers. We have the numbers. We get them right off of his website. That Pritzker makes it very clear how much he spent on health care, and he's right. It's not Medicaid. It's Medicaid-like. Pritzker, we spent close to $2 billion on health care for illegal immigrants, all paid 100% paid by state taxpayers. Pritzker knows that, but he wouldn't admit it, and he didn't want to admit it, of course.
But he balanced budget 7 years in a row, he said.
Yeah, that too. That's always the perennial lie in Illinois that we don't pay our pension debts, we don't pay a lot of our health care debts, and that we magically balance the budget all the time just because he says so, and that's that's the problem. He can just say it, and this is the whole problem with all these testimonies and stuff. They say whatever they want. We just heard what Martinez said. Nobody challenges them. People believe it, and the lie continues.
Well, they make these declarative statements, yes, because Pritzker signed another budget yesterday. But in that budget, $2.5 billion on illegals. Are you going to be looking into that?
Well, that's how much is going to be spent by the end of this year. But the real thing is this, so explain something to me. We have this unfunded pension liability problem, which everybody concedes. We have the worst credit rating in the nation at the state level, which is just something that is. So how do we have those dynamics with all these balanced budgets?
Well, and that's always, I think, one of the biggest opportunities to really hit at the system. And I've never figured it out, but it's a real lawsuit. How can governor after governor after governor and General Assembly after General Assembly claim they balance the budget, and yet you see pension debts go from some $15 billion back in 2000 to $144 billion today? You can't have it both ways. and something has to give. And you would think that some taxpayers somewhere would have standing on that, but we've never figured that out legally.
Yeah, and we haven't figured out how to connect the dots in the minds of about half the population of Illinois either. Something else that needs to get sussed out. Ted Dabrowski, President, wirepoints.org, all things Illinois policy related. Thanks, Ted.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, and he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
There's only one radio show in Chicago talking about today's biggest stories and telling you what they really mean. That show is this one, Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560, The Answer. Enjoy uninterrupted programming from Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson around the clock, all day, every day, including daily replays of Chicago's Morning Answer on Dan and Amy 24/7. Listen now at danandamy247.com.
Does your garage floor look bad, cracked, or stained from Chicago's brutal winters? Contact my good friends at Level 10 Coatings. Level 10 brought my garage floor from dirty, gross, to showroom shiny new in just one day. Level 10 Coatings can do the same for you. A quick and easy fix, gleaming permanent solution. Guaranteed to never crack or chip. Mention me, Amy, for $500 off. Get it done now so you can enjoy your garage all summer long. Level 10 uses polyurea, which is superior to epoxy. One day and they're gone. They'll even help move your stuff out of your garage. Schedule your free quote today and mention Amy to receive $500 off. Just visit level10coatings.com. Level10coatings.com or call 855-510-2628. Again, that's 855-510-2628. Level 10 Coatings, your premier concrete coating experts.
Big or small, we coat them all. Level 10 Coatings, your custom concrete coating solution.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing independently owned business bank, a bank where relationships still matter. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
Hey all, Jim Carr here. I am the owner of Carr Machine and Tool in Elk Grove Village and loyal customer of Signature Bank. As a second generation owner, I knew I had to shift from operating as an old school machine shop to what I can proudly say is now one of the fastest growing aerospace manufacturing facilities in the region. Signature Bank was there every step of the way through our expansion efforts, including financing our new state-of-the-art facility. Their valuable industry expertise and constant communication throughout the construction process made our vision possible. Many thanks to Signature Bank for supporting Carr Machine and Tool. You set the bar high for other banks.
Signature Bank helps local businesses succeed. Want to learn how Signature Bank can help turn your business vision into reality? Visit signaturebank.bank. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Busy June. We have officially launched Juneteenth celebrations and observances. BLM Brandon did it at Daily Plaza yesterday. We'll have that at 8:08.
But now into the news. Oh, no, it's 8 a.m. WIND Chicago.
He doesn't believe in phones. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. That's why President Trump says he left the G7 summit in Canada a day early, saying he prefers secure communications to deal with the Iran-Israel conflict.
Remember, Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. It's very simple.
Telling reporters on Air Force One before landing at 5 a.m. he's working on something bigger than a ceasefire.
Today, President Trump will meet with his national security team.
Fox's Mark Meredith at the White House.
The president was also asked how much he's informing congressional leaders about the situation. He says he'll talk with them at some point, but up on the Hill, some lawmakers are taking action now. Republican Congressman Thomas Massey of Kentucky writing, "This is not our war, but if it were, Congress must decide such matters according to the Constitution. I'm introducing a bipartisan war powers resolution today to prohibit our involvement."
Now, the International Atomic Energy Agency says Israel's strikes targeting Iran's nuclear sites have had direct impact on the Natanz underground uranium enrichment facility.
Israel also says Iran's wartime chief of staff was killed. Ali Shadmani was his name. He was the most senior military commander closest to Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. But he only had the job for 4 days. He was appointed after his predecessor was killed.
Fox's Mike Tobin in Tel Aviv also reports a few more Iranian missiles got through the air defense.
One of them set a bus on fire in a parking lot. Another set a structure on fire, but no injuries reported thus far.
But in the days of Iranian counterattacks, 24 Israelis have been killed. Members of Congress will get a briefing today. Security after the weekend shootings in Minnesota that left a state lawmaker and her husband dead and a state senator and his wife badly injured.
Court documents have revealed some horrifying new details, including that the alleged killer went to 4 homes of elected officials on the night of the murders, posing as a police officer, arriving at one official's home whose life was likely spared because they were on vacation.
Fox's Matt Finn in Brooklyn Park, Minnesota. Police say Vance Belter, who's charged with murder, had more than 40 Democratic lawmakers on a list. America's listening to Fox News.
Good morning. It's 75 degrees in Chicago in the AM 560 The Answer newsroom. I'm Nikki Whaley. Former Illinois House Speaker Michael Madigan is expected to report to prison on October 13th. The 83-year-old was sentenced Friday to 7.5 years behind bars on charges of bribery, wire fraud, and conspiracy. Madigan's also ordered to pay a $2.5 million fine. It's not clear where he'll serve his time in prison. 5 more speed cameras are being activated in Chicago. The devices will issue warnings for 30 days before tickets are generated. Violators going 6 miles over will be fined $35, and those going 11 miles over face a $100 fine. Cameras installed previously will start enforcement on July 15th. Outgoing Chicago Public Schools CEO Pedro Martinez is proud of what the district has accomplished since he took over as leader. Speaking yesterday at the City Club of Chicago, Martinez says that the district continues in the same direction. There's no limit to what the children can do.
Not only are students graduating, they're better prepared than ever. Our metrics are at record levels. And by the way, our college persistence rate, so over 73% of our children persist in college.
Martinez says it's been a privilege to serve as CEO, and there's been nothing more important to him than the success of the children. News is a service of Low T Center. Guys, in celebration of Father's Day, Center Gen X and Low T Center are offering free T-tests and weight loss consultations for a limited time only. Book your free consultation and T-test from now until June 21st and get a free B12 shot for an extra boost of energy. Give Dad or yourself the gift of a new start this Father's Day. Book now at fixmylowt.com, fixmylowt.com. A check of the roads coming up in 2 minutes, but now time for the Signature Bank Business Beat.
I'm Liz Clayman, and this is the Fox Business Report.
Turmoil in the Middle East is weighing on stock futures this morning, and crude oil prices are higher. There's news in the food business. Kraft Heinz will no longer use artificial dyes. It tells the Wall Street Journal the dyes will be removed from Jell-O, Kool-Aid, Crystal Light, and everything else it makes by the end of 2027. Artificial colors will be replaced with natural colors or will be removed entirely. New products will not include the dyes. The Trump administration has been pushing food companies to remove synthetic dyes by the end of next year. Lennar shares are up 2%, even though the home builder reported a weaker than expected quarter. Oracle has launched a new program to help smaller companies sell technology, including artificial intelligence, to the Pentagon. That's your Fox Business Report. I'm Jenny Fosola. Invested in you.
Larry Elder addresses our debt.
Here's the problem. Both parties spend money. They may have different priorities, but both parties spend money. The other big problem is that much of the government spending is on automatic pilot. By that, I'm talking about Medicare, Medicaid, and Social Security.
The Larry Elder Show. Weeknights at 8, right before Sean Hannity at 10 on AM 560. The Answer. Gain insight into building strong marriages and raising godly children with Focus on the Family with Jim Daly each weekday at 11:30 a.m. on our sister station, AM 1160. Hope for your life.
If you're living with pain, see how Relief Factor can help.
My back got injured very bad. I was off work for about a year. I heard about Relief Factor from my wife. I took it every day, 3 times a day for 3 weeks. Look at her and I said, the pain is gone. And she said, I'm glad it helped. I said, no, you don't understand. It's gone.
Fight pain naturally with Relief Factor. Go to relieffactor.com and get your 3-week quick start today. Only $19.95.
Healthcare is complicated. It doesn't have to be. If you don't love how your health insurance works, maybe it's time to leave traditional health insurance behind. Take charge of your healthcare with Christian Healthcare Ministries. CHM offers you flexibility. Enroll anytime, choose your own provider, and select the program that fits your needs and budget. CHM is the original faith-based way of taking care of your medical bill costs. Learn more at chministries.org/wellness.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Hi, I'm Chuck McDowell, the timeshare cancellation guy and founder of Wesley Financial Group, and I want to set the record straight. I am not an attorney. I've never wanted to be an attorney, and the truth is I really don't even like attorneys. If I sound like an attorney or if I look like an attorney, I'll apologize. But what I've learned in my 15 years in the timeshare cancellation business is you don't need to be an attorney to get folks out of their timeshare. At Wesley, we've helped over 40,000 families cancel their timeshare without me being an attorney. And I want to share with you how we do it. Just give my office a call, and you will not talk to an attorney. And I guarantee if we take you as a client, we'll get you out of your timeshare, or you'll pay nothing.
Call now for your free timeshare exit info kit. Call 800-979-1771. That's 800-979-1771. 800-979-1771.
I'm Ed Evans, CEO of Consumer Cellular. No, we're not one of the big guys. Truth is, we don't want to be. If you're over 50, Big Wireless probably has you paying for more data than you might need. You could be throwing away thousands over a lifetime. We're not here to be the biggest. We're here to bring you something we believe is better. Our plans start at just $20. You'll get the same fast nationwide coverage without the big wireless bill.
Call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com/facts. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing. See site for additional facts.
Life insurance. Why are you putting it off? Can't afford it? Too much hassle? Think you don't need it? There's lots of excuses for putting off life insurance. But if you weren't there, who would pay the mortgage and other bills? With Ethos, you could be covered in 10 minutes and boom, family protected. Ethos, fast and easy online term life insurance. Up to $2 million in coverage with no medical exam. Some policies as low as $1 a day. Answer a few health questions and get your free quote at ethos.com/policy. That's ethos.com/policy.
From the Team Hawk Web Traffic Center, I'm Nikki Whaley. On the Edens inbound from Lake Cook to Montrose, 15 minutes. Outbound, 25 minutes. On the Kennedy inbound from Montrose to the Burn Interchange, 43 minutes. Outbound, about 35 minutes. On the Eisenhower inbound from Wolf to the Old Post Office, 41 minutes. Outbound, 38 minutes. On the Stevenson inbound from the Tri-State to Lakeshore Drive, 39 minutes. Outbound is about 25 minutes. And the Dan Bryan inbound from 95th to the Burn Interchange, 22 minutes. Traffic is a service of almostfreeteeth.com. Have you been getting high quotes for dental implants? With medical PPO insurance, it's possible to save 90% off on average. See if you qualify today at almostfreeteeth.com, making smiles great again. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next, but now check for your forecast from the National Weather Service.
Clouds and sun, thunderstorm late this afternoon, the high at 90. Shower and thunderstorm tonight. Low tonight 69. Heavy thunderstorm tomorrow. That could spark an isolated tornado, the high near 80. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560. The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. As of yesterday, the official flag is flying over Daley Plaza.
And a look now at Daley Plaza, where moments ago they raised the Juneteenth flag. This Thursday is June 19th. It's a federal holiday, marking the day Union soldiers arrived in Galveston, Texas, announcing the freedom of enslaved African Americans, more than 2 years after the Emancipation Proclamation.
And in celebration of those Union soldiers who arrived to announce the emancipation of slaves in Galveston, Texas. We have Pan-African flags waving at BLM Brandon Johnson while he's commemorating Juneteenth thusly.
Our way will bring to black residents in reclaiming ownership of our own communities. That is the spirit of Juneteenth, you all. It is about reflecting on our past. Other cultures are taught to never forget. We need to be reminded as blacks here in Chicago and America, remembering our past and working towards a more just future. Investing in black is not a criminal act. Sister Zakiya says she need a witness, so I'm gonna say it again. Investing in black is not a criminal act.
Well, actually, it can be a violation of the 1964 Civil Rights Act when you do it the way that you do it. But, okay, investing in black is not a criminal act. That's going to look great on a T-shirt over the next couple of days.
312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. It's always about race with him. He has nothing else. And I was just, to see the gay pride flag come down and the Juneteenth flag come up. I mean, this is just really, again, another day that's taking away from the LGBTQ plus month.
Well, the rainbow flag, I assume, this still has a prominent spot.
Well, it's there. But they put an interactive history of the LGBTQ in Chicago. Interactive, like a makeshift museum, little walkthrough area where you can press the buttons and hear different things. They put that in the county building yesterday just to make sure. Thank goodness. Well, they announced that while they were raising the Juneteenth flag because you don't want to pee anybody off, if you know what I mean.
No, except people that are not identitarian simpletons. You can piss them off as much as you want. Or insult their intelligence as much as you want, so long as you don't insult the intelligence of the mindless Marxists. No, I get it. Mm-hmm. Investing in black is not a criminal act. What is that? Yeah, what does that mean? Oh, I guess it means, take their community back, he says. You mean like by putting people in government housing? You mean by opening a city-owned grocery store? You mean through reparations? I mean, it's not just that he's obsessed with race and identity politics. It's also, by the way, most importantly, he's got all the policies that are alleged to be in furtherance of his people wrong. Just a point of order. Identitarian hustlers like him want us to say obsessed about race or whatever the identity group du jour is, rather than the underlying policies that are supposed to be in service of their people. He's fighting for his people. He's investing in his people. And we're supposed to just focus on, he's, this balkanization that he's doing. In point of fact, let's talk about how you're investing in your people and what kind of return on investment they're getting. BLM Brandon. It really is. Go to the west side and south side. Mm-hmm. And here's all the people that say you're their people and they're investing in you. How do you feel about it? Feel good? Schools are great. 73% persistent attendance in college. Is that your experience or your kids? All these things that they say are happening. And we never, and of course the Chicago Press Corps is completely uninterested in talking to any three-dimensional human being who actually lives in one of these neighborhoods, who is actually supposed to be one of BLM Brandon's people. How is it going? The job situation, the economic security situation, the healthcare access situation. Let's talk to a black family who has a family member with a disability. How's your healthcare access under the BLM Brandon Jelly Belly Medicaid program, where you're deprioritized over people in the city and state that are in this country illegally?
Yeah, we talked about that one time.
So jobs, healthcare, just general opportunities, the cleanliness of your neighborhood and school, the safety of your neighborhood and school, the opportunities for your kid coming up. Let me hear the feedback. Your people are in office to serve you. So how's it going? 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro, answer line. Frank in Rogers Park, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Good morning, Dan. Really what's happening here, I don't think it's so much the black people, it's really the Chicago Teachers Union. If you see the excellent documentary, Illinois Policy, about how really in 2013, when Rahm Emanuel was the only one that could have stood up to them and closed like 50 schools, they started to weaponize socialism and the union and start pouring the money into the pockets of, this guy's really just a teacher in a fancy, expensive suit.
Thanks for the call, Frank. Well,
Rahm did close 50 schools, and then they put a moratorium on it until when, 2028 or something? Can't close any schools, even if you have 2 people in there, you can't close them. I mean, we heard our conversation with Ted Dabrowski. The numbers, it's disgusting. Those places shouldn't be open. They should consolidate the schools.
The CTU dominance of the system and the abrogation of political leadership on K through 12 education happened long before Rahm and persists to this day. There is no mayor and no CPS superintendent who is exempted from that criminal enterprise they were a part of over the last at least 50 years. Not a single one. Let's be real. That school system is a catastrophe. I mean, catastrophe doesn't do it justice. It is a criminal operation. It has deprived children of even the opportunity to earn a quality education that sets them up for life for at least a half a century, generally speaking. And the few exceptions,
my kids.
The exceptions are the people that were going to get educated and moved on no matter what CPS did or didn't do. CPS could close tomorrow, and because of parental involvement, personal motivation, that small subset of kids who come out of government schools reading and doing math at grade level and beyond were going to make it anyway. They had the people who have made it. It has very little to do, certainly, with the system. Maybe individual teachers and individual coaches, sure, but not with the system, because the system is a centrally planned monstrosity. And don't even think, at least not on this show, about pretending to point fingers at some politicians and superintendents and exempting others, at least not if you don't want me to come down on you with hellfire. Because that is a rap that has been perpetuated for a long time by people who are complicit in this criminal enterprise. And it's not going to be me. Ron, South Side.
Hey, good morning, Dan and Amy. Dan, you right on point, as I told you, producer. I don't know if it's criminal, but it's an atrocity of what the Chicago puppeteer just laid it out. And Brandon Johnson, you're part of that. People do not realize these young people can't read, write, and function. And he's also part of the people that fought against the scholarship program that helps poor black people. Don't come up with that, oh, this is for white people. It's just sickening. The people, I was at an event Dan and Amy, take care of something. And when he came in, so lady I've known a long time, she said, well, you don't like him. I said, I don't. She said, well, you don't like me. I said, I have a disdain for all of them. Goodbye. And she said, well, so that means you voted for Trump. I said, goodbye. I mean it. And lastly, but see, he tries to use that word investment. Because most people say, okay, well, it's reasonable. You can reasonably expect maybe an outcome from an investment. All it is with them, it means spending. There's no investment. You're not getting anything out. But as I've said on this station over and over, he is disgusting. He's a blithering idiot. And every time I hear him, it's just sickening. And anyone that voted for him, I feel the same way about them. You all have a wonderful day.
Thanks, Ron. Is that what you aspire for your kids? Because what he's offering is state dependency, of course. We're going to warehouse you in a government housing project, because it worked out so well in Cabrini Green and Robert Taylor homes and so on. Right? Is that's where you want to live? Altgeld Gardens? Is that where you want to live? Is that what you want for your kid? You want your kid to be dependent of transfer payments on food stamps? That's what you aspire to for your kid? So how's it going? What's the promise and what's the delivery? Simple questions. Greg from LaGrange has another good simple question. Go ahead, Greg.
It's the problem here is, who are you taking the community back from? Yeah. I mean, you nailed it. I mean, you nailed a lot of my points. The return on investment is terrible, and it's all.
And just to be clear, not for me as a taxpayer. I mean, that's secondary. For them, for the intended beneficiaries.
Exactly. The problem is you can't put the word, you can't describe it enough. Whether Ron uses atrocity or you use criminal, that what they're doing to the kids in the city is just sickening. They're condemning them to a life of what? Poverty and crime in most cases. What I did segue back to in thinking about this call is, on the weekends sometimes I just nerd out and I watch the firing lines. I go back to Buckley. I go back to Sowell. And when he starts talking about groups that have pulled themselves up by the bootstraps, and he does a wonderful, beautiful analogy about how the black families thrived and came up after slavery, were given opportunities, and took a bull by the horns and made something of everything. You know why? Not because they were special and not because they were black, because they had a family structure and they worked hard. All that was taken away because of the Great Society programs. When they found out the politicians could lever people against each other for their own good and for their own endurance in terms of elections and staying in power forever, they did it. And that is the most criminal thing in the world. It's a shame that we don't have a media that calls them out, and that Mayor Johnson and everybody else can this pep can be put out there for decades, and nobody says a word. Everybody just says, oh, well, it's just big city living.
Thanks for the call, Greg. Yeah, take your communities back from who?
From what? Yeah. From the illegals that you dumped in their neighborhoods? I mean, for what? When he said that, I was like, for what?
No. Take your communities back from, take the West Side back from who? Walter Burnett? Take the South Side back from who? Pat Dowell? Who are you taking the community back from? Who's in charge is the point. Take your schools back from who? The mayor? His flunky, his latest flunky that's a superintendent, or these minions on the school board? Who are you up against, do you think? Give me the list of feudal lords. Who's in charge? Take your communities back from Pritzker, Giannoulias, Frericks, Stratton.
Ali G's too busy at the gym. Okay,
but you just have to sort of break through the concrete here a little bit, get people thinking, and take it back from the people that you voted for, so that you can live a life of dependency for their benefit. I mean, these politicians are pushers just like the dope merchants. Dependency's a poison. Dependency on the government's a poison, just as dependency on controlled substances. John in Bridgeport.
Hey, guys. Back in the fall, Mayor Johnson got called out for bringing a crew of people with him over to London for the Bears game, but he says he was drawing up business to bring to Chicago. Whatever happened with that? What business did he draw in? Because I think he's in over his head and he's incapable of drawing any business to come to Chicago. But did anyone ever follow up with that? That's all. Thanks, guys.
He's going to see if he can't get the next season of Ted Lasso.
Right.
Filmed here at the new Chicago Fire Stadium on the river.
Yeah, the new neighborhood, 78. Don't you know?
John in Milwaukee.
Yes, good morning. My comment is, if you keep people down or less than you or whatever it is, then you keep them on the system. You keep them on the welfare rolls. You keep them on the assistance. And it's not he's doing it to his own people, which is sad. That's my only comment. And thank you for absolutely excellent, an excellent station. Thank you.
Thanks, John. Tom in Blue Island.
Morning, Dan and Amy. I've made this point before, and it's still exists, and it's getting worse. We work on the east and south sides of Chicago a lot. Dan, I don't know what the opposite of gentrification, what a word for that would be.
Disintegration?
You see more illegal aliens walking around, and they are moving into houses. You see no permits on the houses. City of Chicago is notorious for being a pain in the ass to get permits. These people are being moved in there, and I cannot understand why. Well, I mean, I understand the media. Amy, maybe someone you know could ask who is subsidizing that, and someone has to be leading that program. These areas are being overrun by people that are not African American.
Thanks, Tom. Jordan in Antioch.
Good morning, guys. You know, who are you going to take it back from? You are the one that took it from them. You and your party. These guys have balls that are 16 pounds and solid brass. They will stand there he will stand there and talk about Juneteenth and the Emancipation Proclamation and all this other crap and all this investing. And in the same day, will go back to his office and implement another policy that will rob these people that he wants to invest in, air quotes, you can't see it, but while at the same time, you are impoverishing them. You have stripped them of their power. They can't leave the state, and if they can't afford to leave the state, if they're blessed enough to have a job to be able to leave, nobody wants to buy your house because the taxes are more than the house is worth. Nobody wants to go to your schools because your schools are garbage. You have stripped them of their power and their authority over their own lives and impoverished them. You are modern-day plantation owners. The hypocrisy of these people is just galling. It's infuriating. And what's even more infuriating is the people who will swallow it, hook, line, and sinker, because they are so ignorant, so naive, so in a rut that they can't even look up to see over the banks of the rut they're in to see the world outside of them. These people put you there, and they want to keep you there. And they want to keep you there for one reason and one reason only, so they can stay in power. They don't care about you. They don't want to invest in you. They want to talk bromides and platitudes, but they don't want to do anything because you will leave them when you see what is actually outside the ditch that you're living in. It just galls me. There's the hypocrisy. They are modern-day plantation owners.
Thanks for the call, Jordan.
This is the morning show more Chicago radio listeners are choosing. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
For centuries, gold and silver have protected wealth through war, recession, inflation, and economic upheaval. And today, as markets remain volatile and uncertainty grows, gold and silver continue to serve as an essential building block for modern retirement portfolios, offering both stability and long-term potential. At Advantage Gold, we specialize in helping you move your IRA or eligible 401k into physical gold or silver, tax-free and penalty-free. When you call Advantage Gold at 800-900-8000, you'll receive expert insights, real-time market analysis, and modern investment strategies Everything you need to make informed decisions about your financial future. And right now, for a limited time, you could receive up to $10,000 in precious metals when you open your qualified gold IRA with Advantage Gold. So don't wait for the next market downturn. Take control of your retirement strategy today with the proven power of physical gold and silver. Call Advantage Gold at 800-900-8000. That's 800-900-8000. Performance may vary. Consult with your financial and tax professionals before making investment decisions. Visit AdvantageGold.com or call 800-900-8000.
Everybody seems to be more health conscious these days, worrying about their weight, what they eat, what they put into their bodies. And if you're in pain, taking pills to mask the pain is not the answer. Hi, Amy Jacobson here. Please listen up. There is hope to end your chronic pain due to arthritis or an injury, and that's QC Kinetics. QC Kinetics is different. These are not quick fixes. This is a revolutionary treatment that works to give your body long-term relief. You will meet Medical Director Dr. Ashley Caravelli and her team. They'll explain how their regenerative treatments take your own body's healing power and helps restore damaged tissue. So say goodbye to chronic pain and live your best life. Find out if you're a candidate. The consultation is free with appointments on weekdays and Saturdays. Contact my good friends at QC Kinetics. Call 312-809-5955. That's 312-809-5955. Again, 312-809-5955.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
At 8:38, we'll get perspective on how the prosecution of the war against Iran and its nuclear program will proceed from Ruthie Blum, former advisor to Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. She joins us at 8:38.
But now let's head into the newsroom. Here's Nikki Whaley.
Good morning. It's 75 degrees in Chicago in the AM 560 The Answer newsroom. I'm Nikki Whaley. President Trump thinks Russia should be part of the current G7 summit in Canada.
While speaking about trade, Trump said that former President Obama worked to kick Russia out.
It used to be the G8. They threw Russia out, which I claimed was a very big mistake.
He said there would be no war in Ukraine if Russia was still in the group. The president also talked about trade, saying his primary focus while attending the meeting would be working through tariffs with Canada. I'm Mark Mayfield.
MyPillow founder and CEO Mike Lindell is liable for defamation and must pay millions of dollars in damages.
That's the ruling from a federal jury after Lindell claimed that Dominion voting systems and an executive rigged the 2020 presidential election. The jury ruled that Lindell and his media company, Frank Speech, must pay Eric Coomer more than $2 million in damages. Coomer had sued Lindell, saying the MyPillow CEO called him treasonous. Jurors found Lindell liable for 3 statements saying the company acted recklessly and inflicted emotional distress on Coomer. I'm Tammy Trujillo.
News is a service of Air Right Heating and Cooling, offering AM 560 listeners $56 off of any service, including inspections. Don't wait for a heat wave for that old air conditioner to break down. Visit Air Right Heating and Cooling today at AIR-RITE.com. Again, that's AIR-RITE.com. A check of the roads coming up in 2 minutes on AM 560 The Answer.
Make sure that you never miss a day of Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson when you subscribe to the Chicago's Morning Answer podcast, presented by Signature Bank. Listen to the entire show each day on demand with limited commercial breaks. You can subscribe today for free at 560theanswer.com and click on podcasts or search for Chicago's Morning Answer on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, or wherever you listen to podcasts.
Welcome back to Ask Hasselus. I'm Weston. What's your question?
How do you get pee out of an old mattress?
Well,
I'm asking for a friend.
The best way to remove urine from a mattress is to trade in that old mattress for a new Beautyrest or Sealy Posturepedic.
But that'll cost a lot of money.
Not at Hasselus Mattress. Through Monday, trade in your old mattress and get additional savings of $248 off a queen and $348 off a king. And that's on top of our everyday low prices.
Come on, everybody says lowest prices.
Others sell a Sealy Posturepedic Queen Emeryville A mattress for $1268. Hasselus sells it for $1034. But through Monday, it's just $786. And check out the low prices on Beautyrest and more. Plus, free next day delivery.
What does my friend do with his old soaked mattress?
We haul it away for pee.
What was that?
Sorry, I meant for free.
Sure you did.
Open 9 to 9. Find an employee-free showroom near you at Hasselist.com.
Are you growing your manufacturing team this year and need new employees? Turn to Monarch Technical Services in Rolling Meadows. They've been leading the Chicago staffing industry for manufacturing and engineering since 1987. You'll appreciate their vetting process, payment terms, and dedication towards excellence. They meet every candidate in person to interview and test for specific skills. Monarch assesses experience by using blueprint, shop math, part measurement, and CNC program exams. Monarch Technical offers unique payment terms. You now have 6 months to pay the finder's fee, and if for any reason the candidate leaves your employment, the fee ends. This allows you to make sure direct hire employees are fitting in before fees are paid in full. So if you're growing your manufacturing team this year and searching for exceptional talent and attractive payment terms, contact Monarch Technical Services at 847-342-1221 or visit them online at monarchtechnical.com. That's monarchtechnical.com. Continuing the privilege of enriching manufacturing for 38 years.
Whew, that shot was money, Lisa. Hey, speaking of, did you ever figure out what to do with your parents' old coin collection?
Not yet. I need a reputable dealer to appraise them. I have no clue what they're worth.
I just finished working on my dad's estate collections. I took it all to Fox Valley Coins. Their customer service was the best. Plus, they're super honest and reputable, but most importantly, experienced. They'll give you the best prices.
Really? They handle estate collections?
Absolutely. Buying, selling, appraising, they do it all. It was quick and simple, and we maintained our privacy. Fox Valley Coins made the whole process easy.
That's exactly what I need. Are they local?
Right in Naperville. They have an easy website to remember. FoxValleyCoins.com.
Perfect. Now let's see if you can return this shot.
Whether buying or selling or just want valuation, Fox Valley Coins is your trusted gold and silver dealer. Visit Fox Valley Coins, 1 light north of I-88 on Route 59 at the Naperville-Warrenville border. FoxValleyCoins.com. Family-owned integrity since 1981.
From the Team Hochberg Traffic Center, I'm Nikki Whaley. On the Edens inbound from Lake Cook to Montrose, 15 minutes. Outbound, 26 minutes. On the Kennedy inbound from Montrose to the Burn Interchange, 49 minutes. Outbound, about 39 minutes. On the Eisenhower inbound from Wolf to the Old Post Office, 37 minutes. Outbound, 34 minutes. On the Stevenson inbound from the Tri-State to Lakeshore Drive, 44 minutes. Outbound, about 23 minutes. This report is sponsored by Starbucks. The Starbucks Summerberry Refresher is back. Notes of raspberry, blueberry, and blackberry shaken with ice and poured over raspberry-flavored pearls. Make it yours. Try it with lemonade or coconut milk. Available for a limited time, Summerberry Refresher is ready at Starbucks. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next, but now a check for your forecast from the National Weather Service.
Hot day today, clouds and sun. Thunderstorm in spots late this afternoon, the high 90. A shower and thunderstorm forward this evening, low 69. Heavy thunderstorms tomorrow. Could spark an isolated tornado, the high near 80. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560. The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. Only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Seth Cropsey is a former naval officer and undersecretary of the Navy, writing in the Wall Street Journal about the opportunity that Israel has handed America, according to Seth Cropsey. He argues, even if the regime doesn't implode, a weak, vulnerable Iran provides an overwhelmingly strengthened position to the U.S. in its struggle against the Eurasian axis. The U.S. can pressure Iran into cutting oil exports on Russia's behalf, eliminate the Caspian Sea route for evading sanctions, and prevent Iran's use as a technological smuggling hub. Iran's illicit oil tanker fleet is also essential to Russian invasion of energy sanctions. Without Tehran's backing, this network becomes much weaker. China would stand to lose much more than Europe from a disruption in Iranian oil exports. If they were taken offline fully, the Gulf states could fill the gap, albeit slowly, but only because of American support. The U.S. could finally establish a stranglehold on oil exports to Asia, thus providing significant leverage over China. The U.S. has a unique opportunity to gain a potentially decisive advantage against Russia and China. To seize it, Mr. Trump would strengthen U.S. security immeasurably by allowing Israel to finish the job against Iran, if necessary, applying American power to this end as well. Yeah, I think that's well stated. And it's why, as we discussed earlier in the program, I think that Bibi's apparent desire to have America support their efforts, particularly as it pertains to those bunker-busting bombs that Israel needs to take out the enrichment site at Fordo, I think that's the right and proper move for America Firsters, in part for the reasons articulated by Seth Cropsey. For more on the topic, we're pleased to be joined by Ruthie Blum, award-winning columnist and senior contributing editor at Jewish News Syndicate, JNS, former advisor at the office of Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, and author of To Hell in a Handbasket, Carter, Obama, and the Arab Spring. Ruthie Blum, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
What do you say to the case that Seth Cropsey makes?
Oh, I couldn't agree more. And I would say from the Israeli side, not the American side, that this is also a mission to rid the world of its most pernicious force right now. And to neutralize China and Russia would be, of course, an added benefit. Now, Israel is directly threatened by Iran, that has repeatedly vowed to wipe it off the map. But it is also a threat to the United States and the whole Western world, and, may I point out, the Arab world. So the naysayers inside the Trump administration and outside, the marriage between the far left and the far right, or what we could call the woke right, is really something that I'm glad that President Trump is not listening to.
Although there does seem to be, reportedly, maybe you have different knowledge of this, but reportedly some daylight between Trump and Netanyahu when it comes to this campaign, where Trump is seemingly trying to compel Iran back to the negotiating table, and Bibi seems to believe that is a exercise in futility.
Yes, well, first of all, I don't believe that there's a rift between them at all. I think that's nonsense. And when President Trump says he wants to bring Iran back to the negotiating table, which, by the way, he just said yesterday on Air Force One that he wants to end the war, not achieve a ceasefire. Okay, and that's a very big distinction.
Yeah.
I don't think there's a rift. What I think
I didn't say rift. I said daylight between them.
Oh, well, daylight, right? Okay, because there are a lot of people saying there's a rift. The Israeli left has been saying that for weeks now. I think President Trump, what he means by the negotiating table is capitulate, telling Iran, okay, come and agree to our terms and capitulate totally. He now sees that that's impossible. Now, it's true that Netanyahu realizes that no deal with Iran is a good deal. There is no such thing as a good deal with Iran. But still, I think it's a good thing that President Trump has not just said we're backing Israel on every move. And why? Because the naysayers are claiming that Israel is dragging the United States into a war that it doesn't want. And so I think that the daylight is more a PR move than it is genuine.
Mm-hmm. And the reporting of an apparent disagreement over whether or not to target the Ayatollah for assassination or elimination.
Okay, so first of all, I heard a report just recently, and I don't know if it's true, that the White House denied that President Trump said that. After all, note that all the news outlets that are reporting that say reportedly Trump told Netanyahu not to assassinate the supreme leader. You don't hear President Trump saying it on video. You hear reports that he said it.
Yeah,
So you think that's fake news?
Well, and interestingly, I mean, Pennsylvania Senator John Fetterman, Democrat, said no, they should assassinate the supreme leader.
Yes, well, we've seen throughout this war since the October 7th massacre by Hamas, an Iranian proxy, that taking out the leaders severely weakens these groups, the terrorist groups in Iran. So I think that it, of course, would be wise to do it if it's possible to do. And if President Trump did, I think it's fake news. But let's say, for the sake of argument, that Trump did tell Netanyahu, don't do it. The reason would be that President Trump is saying America is not going after the leader of a country. It's one thing to go after terrorist leaders, all right, like Hamas and Hezbollah, and it's quite another to assassinate a leader of another country. But again, if he did say it, I think this is just, a kind of, again, I would say PR and not genuine. And I don't think he cares one way or another if Israel assassinates the supreme leader. I just think he's saying we're not doing it. That's what I think it means.
Will a regime change help Israel?
Oh, definitely. The regime change will help the world. Iran, during the time of the Shah, it wasn't perfect. The Shah had problems, but he was a real friend of the West, and he was a real friend of Israel. And the Iranian people, prior to the Islamic Revolution in 1979, Iranian women were wearing miniskirts and hanging out at cafes and discussing literature. Okay, so however bad the Shah seemed at the time, it's nothing compared to after the Islamic Revolution. And at the time, even the Shah was moving to reform, and that all got thrown in the garbage when the Ayatollah Khomeini came back from exile and took over.
Well, what do you think the prospects are? I know that the statements have been made that regime change is not something that we're intending, but it would be a happy occurrence if it came to pass. And so what are the prospects? And, there's a lot of talk about this as an opportunity for the peaceful pluralist elements of Iranian society to rise up, and perhaps the West can give some material support to those elements that do. But what's your handle on the prospect of it?
Oh, definitely. It gives them an opportunity. I'm not saying that neither Israel nor the United States should or can force regime change in Iran. That's not the goal. But the Iranian people, as we saw during the Obama administration and then during the Biden administration, anytime the Iranians took to the streets to protest the regime and America didn't back them, give them moral support, forget about physical support, even moral support, they were just gunned down in the streets. And so they lived in terror, also tortured, murdered, in prisons. So what this does is provide them an opportunity. I'll tell you, I heard from a Middle East expert who knows Farsi fluently, who speaks Farsi. He said that a joke going on in Iran right now is the following. The Iranians are telling this joke, that nobody knows where Ali Khamenei is hiding except the Israelis.
Right. Yes. Well, yeah, I think the world is pretty impressed after the Hezbollah pager operation.
Yeah.
In addition to these nuclear strikes too, which were, well planned and well executed. But what concerns do you have? I know we heard from the Israeli ambassador to the U.S. that we're not trying to contain the war; we're trying to win this war, which of course is the right disposition. But what concerns do you have about potential pitfalls here? That's going well to this point, but there are always uncertainties and dangers afoot. What concerns you from an Israeli or an American perspective?
Yes. Well, I would say that at the moment, I don't see the pitfalls, but if there are, they would involve capitulating to Iran in some fashion. For example, one pitfall might be that pressure starts to mount on President Trump and Prime Minister Netanyahu to stop. The way the Israeli left has been pressuring Netanyahu to stop the war in Gaza before it's finished. Though there it's a different situation because there are still hostages held by Hamas. But if we don't, when I say we, I mean Israel right now. if we don't finish the job, so to speak, it's worse to poke a bear than to kill it, you know? So that would be a pitfall, but I don't see that at the moment. At the moment, I see a fantastic victory taking place. You know, it's only been 4 days.
Right.
And see the amazing accomplishment.
Well, what is the atmosphere like? What, are people living in fear? What's it like in Israel right now?
Well, in Israel, and I can tell you because my kids, I'm right now in New York visiting, and my kids in Israel are all in bomb shelters, you know, spending the nights in bomb shelters or whenever there's an alert. And several, not many, but several people were killed and many injured in these missile attacks, because these Iranian missiles are way more powerful than the Houthi missiles that we were experiencing and Hamas rockets and missiles and drones. However, it's a small number compared to what we anticipated. And Israelis are very obedient about going to shelters. But all Israel, I'll tell you, there's total consensus that this is necessary. And therefore, Israelis are for it, even though they have to keep running to bomb shelters.
But can total victory be achieved if Israel is unable to take out the enrichment site at Fordo? And does Israel not need the United States' participation to accomplish that?
Either U.S. participation or U.S. Provision of the proper bunker busters to do it. One or the other. Personally, I'd prefer that Israel were provided the bombs and would take care of it without U.S. help, precisely because of what I said, this idea that somehow Israel is dragging America into a war. It's nonsense, but there's that, you know, there's that, I would say, disgruntlement among certain elements in America. So it would be better if Israel handled it alone. But if not, and I think that President Trump is getting to the point where he says, no, I'm sorry, this is an American interest. And I also believe that Trump possibly, he sees that Israel is doing so well that he would like to join and be part of this historic moment.
And but you do agree that Fordo needs to go for total victory to be achieved?
Oh, absolutely. But I think that's going to happen. That's why I'm optimistic. And by the way, I'm not normally optimistic about these things.
Oh, really?
But I see a real shift in public perception.
Mm-hmm. Ruthie Blum, award-winning columnist, senior contributing editor at JNS, former advisor to the office of Israeli Prime Minister Bibi Netanyahu, and author of the book To Hell in a Handbasket, Carter, Obama, and the Arab Spring. Ruthie Blum, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. And she joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer.
Your show keeps me alive during the week. There's nobody I'd rather listen to between 5 and 9 in the morning than you guys.
On AM 560, The Answer.
People ask us all the time, when's the best time to replace an old air conditioner? Simple. Before it breaks. Because when it does, you know it'll be the hottest day of the year, and suddenly you're scrambling like hundreds of others to get help during a heat wave. At Air Right Heating and Cooling, we've seen it all. We know there's never a good time to be without AC, especially in Chicagoland, where the humidity can make 80 degrees feel like 100. At Air Right, our experienced technicians don't just work fast, they'll do it right. Browse through our more than 1,500 5-star Google reviews to see what our loyal customers love most about us. If it's been a while since your system was inspected, don't wait for a heat wave before having it checked out. And right now, AM 560 listeners receive $56 off any service. Visit Air Right Heating and Cooling today at AIR-RITE.com. Again, that's AIR-RITE.com. Air Right, doing it right since 1959.
I have to check up on our listener who contacted us to tell us that she is using QC Kinetics, and so far so good. She's had chronic pain due to arthritis, does not want to get a knee replacement. So she's like tens of thousands of Americans and trying regenerative medicine. QC Kinetics, folks, is different. These are not quick fixes. This is a revolutionary treatment that works to give your body long-term relief. You will meet with medical director Dr. Ashley Caravelli and her team. They'll explain how their regenerative treatments take your body's own healing power and helps restore damaged tissue. Again, they've helped tens of thousands of people. No masking the pain. They're going after the very source of it. So say goodbye to chronic pain and live your best life. Do it today. Find out if you're a candidate. The consultation is free. Appointments during the week and, of course, on Saturdays. Contact my good friends at QC Kinetics, 312-809-5955. That's 312-809-5955. Again, call 312-809-5955.
Want to see if you could pay less in taxes? Try the quick and easy tax calculator at willsave.com. Yes, a free tax calculator. That's WILSAVE.com. Calculate how you could keep more of your hard-earned money and give less to Uncle Sam, especially in retirement. Get your free tax analysis today at willsave.com. And don't forget to tune in to Protecting Your Assets with Steve Shyman every Saturday morning at 8, right here on AM 560, The Answer.
The national debt is soaring and the dollar is weakening. Rising deficits, inflation, and market instability are creating a perfect storm of economic uncertainty. Public figures that were once allies are clashing in the headlines, leaving Americans everywhere asking what's next. In unpredictable times, more people are turning to physical gold and silver as a way to safeguard their savings in retirement. At Advantage Gold, we help you move your IRA or eligible 401k into physical precious metals, tax-free and penalty-free. It's a simple, secure, and proven method to preserving your capital. When you call 800-900-8000, you'll receive a free gold guide packed with real-world strategies to help protect your investment. Plus, for a limited time, you could receive up to $10,000 in precious metals when you open up your qualified gold IRA with Advantage Gold. So don't wait for the next crash or crisis. Take control of your financial future today with Advantage Gold. Call 800-900-8000 or visit AdvantageGold.com. That's 800-900-8000. Performance may vary. Consult with your financial and tax professionals before making investment decisions. Call 800-900-8000.
Where have you been lately? I signed up for an annual gold membership at Fox Valley Shooting Range. You get unlimited range time 7 days a week, access to members-only reservations, free gun rentals, discounts in the store. Is it expensive? Nah, it ends up being only $45 for the whole month. Oh, wow. I'm a little rusty. Do they do trainings? Oh, yeah. I've taken some private lessons and some advanced classes, but they offer a bunch of intro courses, too, and concealed carry classes. Plus, it's huge. They have 14 lanes at 25 yards and a massive retail store. It's a nice setup, and I've met some really good people.
Learn more at foxvalleysr.com. Again, that's Fox Valley, S as in shooting, R as in range.com. Or call 630-357-3570. That's 630-357-3570. And tell them AM 560 sent you. Fox Valley Shooting Range, a state-of-the-art shooting experience.
Gain insight into building strong marriages and raising godly children with Focus on the Family with Jim Daly each weekday at 11:30 a.m. on our sister station, AM 1160. Hope for your life. AM 560, The Answer.
Some great news, Amy. I know you've got a thing for competitive eaters. Joey Chestnut is back. He will be back at the Nathan's Hot Dog July 4th hot dog eating contest after he was excommunicated for daring to endorse a vegan dog last year.
And he never actually did any commercials for them, but he should have told Nathan's Hot Dogs that, hey, I'm going to start this partnership. That was the point of contention.
Do you still have a poster of him in your room?
No, I don't. I run into him sometimes, and it's kind of embarrassing.
The competitive eater you used to date? Or Joey Chestnut?
No, the competitive eater.
Yeah.
Well, they're both competitive eaters, so maybe we can talk about this tomorrow.
How does he look these days?
No, he looks good, but it's just, I don't know. I wonder if he listens to this show, too. I don't know. All right, thanks so much for making us part of your morning, part of your lives. Thanks to Justin Kosick and Quinn McCarthy. Couldn't do it without him. Today it's going to be hot and humid, a high of 80 or near 90 degrees, I should say. It's now 9 a.m., WYND, Chicago.
They'll be behind closed doors at the Senate. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. The Director of National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, and the head of the CIA, John Ratcliffe, face questions about the Iran-Israel conflict.
Possible U.S. involvement worries lawmakers. That's why the testimony of the nation's top intelligence figures is so important today. Virginia Democrat Tim Kaine wants to force a debate.
We should not be engaged in offensive hostilities against Iran without a vote of Congress.
Kaine crafted a war powers resolution. It would compel Congress to vote before a possible strike against Iran. The exception is if Iran